rational and mostly fail, let's be honest. How's it going, mate? It's been ages and ages and ages. It's mental. Like, how's Christmas? How's New Year's?
Yeah.
Has last, 8 games been?
8 games is insane. We haven't spoken 8 games. We've won 7 and drawn 1, if you count the pen. You kind of have a draw, but it's been all right. A lot of games, a lot of work. Like, it's unbelievable. I'd say before into Christmas and New Year's, I was having some time off, as you do around the festivities. And then since this year started, I've been on it nearly every single day, like 10, 11 hours working. I have not had any rest for the last 2 weeks in any chat. I'm working on like 4 YouTube channels at the moment. I'm working with so many people. I'm doing so much work. So it's going a lot. I'm very, very busy. And there's been a lot of Arsenal games. We just never end. But I mean, it's all right. It's all right. Good start to 2026, I guess.
Yeah, man. Like, and like the lighting's looking better, the camera's looking better, looking sharp, mate. It's like upgrades for 2026 for FOKLZ. Like, it's big changes. Meanwhile, I mean, I've got a chair, which means I'm not going to be sinking entirely because the gas strut had like broken in the last one, and I'd realised I was like progressively just sinking down and down and down. So hopefully that won't be happening every single week now. But I mean, obviously, those of you that usually watch the show weekly, like what the hell's going on? Essentially, we said that we would have a break over Christmas, and then I had 1 week where I went to see family, so we can do it then, and then we had Storm Gretty come through Cornwall, and I'll be honest, it was mayhem. Like it's crazy because it's not really been on the news like nationally or anything like that. But we had like over 100-mile winds everywhere. And then I'm out at 4:00 in the morning digging out behind my house because it started to flood. We had no power at all. Like people still don't have water in Cornwall.
God.
It's insane. Yeah, so obviously no internet or anything like that, no 4G because like masts had caught fire and stuff. So it was like literally being cut off. It was crazy. So got the internet and everything back yesterday. I've been trying to just set things up in a complete whirlwind, no pun intended. And yeah, so podcast will be back on. Everything will be back to normal over the next week. It's just been a mad time at the moment. So I guess, where do we start? Should we just start with Chelsea, I guess, because that's the most recent one. I missed the Liverpool game, annoyingly. I was so frustrated. Was that on the Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been the day that the storm hit us. So it was everyone's worrying about their roofs coming off the houses and stuff, and I'm worried about the Liverpool game. But there we go, priorities. 3-2, mate. Chelsea. Just general thoughts for you. Good win, or is it one of those where we should have put them to the sword and 1 goal advantage isn't enough?
So this is the only game in the last, I think, 6 that I actually didn't watch live. I was asleep. I've been tired. I woke up at 10 p.m. I can't lie. After the game was over, I did too much work. So like, I didn't see this game live. So then I saw what everyone else said and then rewatched it like instantly, basically. So obviously, when you do that, you're a lot more calmer. You kind of know what you're seeing a little bit more rather than being a bit like. Obviously, when you first watch it, you're a bit more sensitive to things that happen. Like, I watched the Liverpool game live. I was very sensitive when things happen. When I watched it back, I was still annoyed. Can't lie. But like, that's just an example. But like the Bournemouth game's a great example. I watched that, thought it was like okay, and then I watched it back and was like, yeah, well, whatever. But like with this game, I mean, I get the worries of like we should have scored more, and it's down to the fact that I think a lot of people want us to rotate. Because we've got so many games, and I understand that. Like, it would have been nice to feel like you could have rotated a little bit for the second leg. I don't think Arteta would have anyway. So I don't really think that's like it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I mean, we definitely on the stats, if you look at it like XG wise and all the big, like, we had a lot of shots and all them stats, we definitely should have won it. But actually how the game played out, like, I don't think we should concede 2 goals. I don't think the first goal is
Mhm.
much we can do about it. Takes like 4 lucky bounces and they just score, and I'm like, wow, whatever. I think the corner again is relatively lucky, so maybe things just happen, but maybe we should defend that a bit better. But then at the end of the day, we scored twice from their goalkeeper making quite evident and clear mistakes where it's like he does do some incredible saves. Don't get me, like that Marino save that Sanchez does late on is brilliant.
Oh,
But like he also made 2 mistakes that, like, realistically, give
yep.
or take, like, so I kind of just felt like it is what it is. Like I felt like people are looking at the ways that we conceded and the goals that we didn't score rather than looking at the goals we did score. And I'm like, it kind of evens out in
Mhm.
my opinion. So getting the win was the main thing. We didn't do this in the league and we were critical against 10 men where we didn't basically take it to Chelsea and weren't good enough. Much better in this
Mhm.
game. I know people say, well, they have players out. The only player that was out from the game that played against us was James. Caicedo got sent off in 30 minutes against us. So we didn't even see him for half the game. And Palmer didn't play in that game either, really. He came off the bench, I think. So it is what it is. Like, it's just important now. We've got a good lead. I'm not as worried as everyone else because I get that there's some worries around semi-finals, but we haven't lost at the Emirates this season. Like, we've drawn twice and won every other game. If we draw at home to Chelsea, we go through to the final. So I don't know. I think we're in a great position, and I think I take more positives out of this win definitely than negatives. I think.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as you. I think originally, like at the end of the match, I felt mixed feelings actually, because on one hand, I was like, "Oh, I'm sure we could have done better than that, and the goals that we conceded, like the second goal, the third, like, oh, could we do better? Yeah, probably. It's probably my thinking was around the context of the match prior to the game. So, like, knowing that they're missing all those players, and then we had players come back in compared to the last time we played them where we drew. And I felt like, we could really do some damage here. We've got a really good record at Stamford Bridge as well. What is it, like 8 like years, something like that, that we haven't lost there,
Yeah.
which is absolutely bonkers. So I did feel like we could do better, but in hindsight, like I felt like actually right at the end of the game, we weren't doing the usual Arteta, I'm going to just fall back, I'm going to just take this win. It did feel like we were playing at times like Zubimendi and Rice both going forward. Like there was a lot of positive momentum in the game. So it was one of those where, oh God, does Garnacho now go get another goal? You know, do we concede some cheap goal right at the end? And then I would be fuming. And right now, like at the end of the day, we've gone away, we've beaten them. So we've got that lead. We're playing at the Emirates the next leg, and we've got the best home record in the Premier League this season. So what have we got? 3 more points than City and a better goal difference as well. Maybe like 3 more on goal difference at home. Something along those lines. I could be wrong, but I just feel so confident now. And as for any worries that are coming up on the semi-final, I think that's just like PTSD of being a Arsenal fan. Like if you look at it objectively, if you ask the neutral, they go, yeah, Arsenal probably going to go through. And then, it's a big, big final that I think that might affect how this Premier League goes. That could be a swing, but we'll wait and see. For you, mate, who was the standout performer? Because I've got 3 in my mind. One of those is not green. As opposed to Sofa Scores ratings. Like for you, who was like the main kind of contributor or the man of the match?
I think genuinely throughout the game, it was probably Zubimendi, I think capped off by his goal. I did a video about William Saliba because I felt like his overall play, especially on the ball, was incredible. And I think that's something that he has been doing better. It's weird because even in my video, there was a little bit of like back and forth. I even have in it with myself where I'm like, I think he's done a better job on the ball recently, and I think he knows he has to. But against Liverpool,
Mhm.
there was a couple of passes he did to Timber, which I thought were really good. But I also felt out of that he didn't do enough where he was given the opportunity to. And I have had this criticism of Saliba. It's the only real criticism I've ever really had of Saliba ever, is that on the ball, he can be a bit scared to do good, like, try passes, unlike
Mhm.
Gabriel, who's much more willing to take risks on the ball. And obviously, like, the whole risk thing is funny because I've been going on that I want Arsenal to take more risks, and I'm fully knowing that I'm saying that, knowing that taking more risks can end up in bad moments where things don't go well, i.e. Aston Villa when we won 4-1, 10 minutes into the game, we get Gyökeres to come deep, take a risk on the ball, he loses it, we should have conceded with Watkins. Like, I know that if I'm asking them to take more risks, that's likely to happen. It's more than likely. But some people aren't. I feel like a lot of the stuff that's going on with our midfield at the moment, people are like, oh, well, where's the defense? Why is it so open in midfield? And it's like, well, yeah, but like, you want Zubimendi running into the box, scoring these brilliant goals, but then, like, it's give or take. He can't be everywhere all the time. Like, I'm
Yep.
fully accepted that that's going to happen. But I felt like Saliba in this game, his overall on the ball work was better. I do think his on the ball work has broadly been better in the last 3 games. But I think, like, I feel like he just took in control of that game. And there's so many moments, I think, early on against teams away where it's very important that Saliba controls the ball and is slow. But then later on, I want to see him be more like experimental and do this. We know how good of a dribbler he is. He's massive. He's 6'4" guy, but he can just dribble past anyone. Every single time that striker, I don't know if it was, I don't like, they were kind of pressing Maguire at the start, and then it was more João Pedro being like the sort of main guy. But every time they went up to him, he'd just go past him, instantly take that first line out, and then just push up. And then Enzo would have to try and cover. And that obviously that big moment he does in the second half where he does that like body feint, goes past and puts the ball through to Saka, and Badiashile gets a yellow. That's just incredible. And like, I really
Yeah.
do think I want to see more from that from Saliba. So in my opinion, Saliba was like, I know we conceded twice. It's weird saying that, but I don't really think the goals were his fault like that much. So I don't really blame Saliba for that. And I think overall he helped us attack him so well. But Zubimendi obviously was class as well. And I think thirdly, I'll probably mention Ben White a little bit. I know people were saying some stuff, but I think
Ooh.
going forward, I just think Ben White in the last 2 defensively, it's funny because I think there's been some really bad problems defensively. But going forward in the last 2 games, I love it. I'm just so excited to see him back. Like, I really do think we've needed that.
Wouldn't it be nice if you get a mixture between Timber and Ben White? Like, that is just the
Hakimi,
ultimate.
let's get him.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's been, you know what? When Ben White comes back in the team, it always reminds me of the things that Timber's lacking. But when Timber plays, it always reminds me of the things that Ben White's lacking. And that's not like a kind of a shun for either of those two, because they are incredible. Like, lest we forget, Ben White was one of the best centre backs in the Premier League prior to Timber kind of coming in. Even when Timber came in and then he had that ACL injury, he was absolutely brilliant. And it's so funny because the whole narrative around Ben White is that, oh, he's going to be moved on next year. He's probably going to be someone that we could get good market value for and reinvest. And games like that, I just look at and go, can you really get rid of him? Like, who do you replace him with? It's so difficult. And I think that one of the biggest things with Ben White is just the injuries. I don't think anyone's really concerned about him defensively. Like, yes, 1-1, we have seen him get kind of cooked at times, but it's not like that's a given. That's the one-off. But going forward, like, his relationship with Bukayo Saka is incredible. His ability to cross is incredible. Let's be honest, I don't know any better way of putting it. His shithousery is top notch. His work in the box from corners, like him and Timber, I don't think get enough credit, kind of set piece wise, to like what they actually give the team, regardless of if we're winning, if we're not, if they're scoring from it directly. Like, those two just cause mayhem. They're very, very clever at set pieces. And yeah, it's great to see him back. Like, it really, really is. 6'10's, but I miss Ben White when he pushed the Portsmouth player over for daring to meg him. Like, yeah, and that's it. Like, classic Benny Blanco. He's like proper Arsenal. Like, he is that player that you really, really want at your club as a fan. And I think in terms of like temperament and mentality, top notch. Like he seems like a really, really good lad. I've said like one of my goals with this podcast at some point is to have Ben White and me and him go on a dog walk and have a chat. We'll sort that out, and we'll just meet you at some point for a coffee, mate. We'll get you to walk an invisible dog. But his quality is great to have another option because we've been so thin on the ground as well. Like, look at us defensively, and we'll probably get on to Mark Gahey later. But I think for me, just briefly talking about him, the only reason I wanted that link to be a bit stronger with Gahey is because we just don't have options right now, which is mental because if you look on paper, we've got so many defensive options, but it's just availability, isn't it? Should we go on to Grumpy Doctor? Could Gyökeres be our Drogba?
It's like I actually talking about Gyökeres on the internet is slowly getting into Thomas Partey territory where it's like I'm just like
that's such a good reference, mate.
I refuse to like it's so there's so much like it's just so hard to talk about like I don't know what's going on with Gyökeres, like in terms of the fans. Like I'm not that surprised by Gyökeres. I've been critical when I think it's fair. I also think there needs to be some leeway in some games, in some specific moments. But it just feels like there is no nuance to the conversation around Gyökeres anymore. It's either you're against him or you're for him, which is the same argument I find that Arsenal fans have with a lot of players. Kai Havertz, David Raya, Madueke. Like, I've seen people go, oh, yeah, but no one's backing Gyökeres.
I know the guard, even.
Yeah, and I've seen people on Twitter be like, oh, Gyökeres, you know, people weren't this critical of other players when they were bad. Yeah, they were. Kai Havertz was getting death threats for about 6 months for the entire time. You know, I remember
Madueke before he even kicked a ball.
Yeah, Madueke is the worst example. But even like soft ones like David Raya, I remember when David Raya came in, I did a video and I genuinely got like such an awful reaction from it. 2 months later, I had people going back to the video being like, yeah, you were right. And I was like, but like we spent 30 mil on a goalkeeper, sold him for 30 mil, and bought another keeper for 30 mil. It's not that deep. Like I thought Raya was always a better keeper than Ramsdale. I know everyone sees it now, but it's just like stuff like sometimes it's so frustrating because I say this a lot, and we will get onto it later with some Gordon links, but I always think that people just think what they don't have is better than what they have all the time. And I think that's it's such a good thing in life as well. It's that people like inspired to what they care more about what they don't have than what they do have, and they never really look at what they do have because they take it for granted. And we've seen the same with like some of our players. Like Trossard's a great example this season with his improvement. Even Martinelli in some of these cups, his improvement in these games. Like Jesus, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like he's obviously been a player that's helped as well. Like it's funny now that we're in conversations where people are like, oh, I want Havertz to come back. Havertz makes the team better. When I've been having these conversations for 2.5 years and everyone's been saying that I'm like so Havertz fanboy, when I've just been like, well, no, I think he does make the team better. Yeah. And like with Gyökeres, like I think that the last 6 weeks, even like the last 2 months since he come back from injury have been really bad. Like it's not a secret to say that Gyökeres has been hiding at the back post. Yes, there is a couple of times he maybe doesn't, but a lot of the time when we break down, at least especially the right, where I do think he is really uncomfortable, whether it be with Saka, and I think Saka's quite unpredictable, and I don't think that helps Gyökeres. And also, I just don't think he is okay at going down the right-hand side and making runs, but he obviously prefers the left. And I think because he doesn't know what Saka's doing, a lot unlike Trossard, he'd rather just like kind of sit back post and wait. But as soon as he scored against Chelsea, which was like relatively lucky, but at the end of the day, I've always said with Gyökeres, just put yourself in them areas and you will get the luck. Like the third goal we score against Bournemouth, where Jesus actually makes the run. Jesus is never going to get the ball there, but he makes the run. It pulls all the Bournemouth defenders in there, and then Rice scores. Very much kind of like what Gyökeres did for the second goal, where everyone was towards him. So that's all I've wanted by Gyökeres. Just get yourself in the right areas, and then we can have conversations about Per Mertesacker not passing it enough, or these players not finding you. Like, I think there's a nuance to this conversation. And a lot of people as well on Twitter are like, why should Saka pass it to Gyökeres? He's the best player in the world. Well, fundamentally, if Saka isn't scoring, then I want him creating. And if he makes good passes and they're not scoring, it's his job to continue making them passes. We are a team game. This isn't a, oh, well, this isn't working, just do what you want over and over again. Saka's finishing's been poor this season. Saka's our best player in attack, so he can give a little bit more leeway than Gyökeres, but you still got to play Gyökeres in sometimes. You can't just like ignore him, which has to be said. But that goal that he scored against Chelsea, yeah, relatively lucky, but he put himself in the right position, and instantly, you saw that confidence that he had. Like, if anyone like, the third goal is something that I'd love to break down, but the third goal that we score against Chelsea the other day was incredible, like an incredible build-up team goal. But straight away, as soon as Mourinho gets that ball on the inside, Gyökeres instantly, he's one-on-one with the defender. He has a little bit of separation, then he instantly just drives to that near post, and then we score from that. And I've seen loads of stats like today saying like, oh, Gyökeres is the most tightly marked player in the league. He has the least amount of space.
I
And
was going to bring this up.
I hate stats like that, because do you know why that is? Because the best players in the world find space. That's what it comes down to. It isn't just about marking. Erling Haaland finds space because of his incredible movement. It isn't just luck. Like, he didn't just turn up and just hope for it. But I do think like that was much more encouraging by Gyökeres. And I've said that Gyökeres has to keep starting. I mean, I've said over the last couple of weeks that I wouldn't mind starting Mourinho up front, but I'll talk about Mourinho in a bit. But with Havertz coming back, he will obviously be the long-term striker there. But Gyökeres has to start up front. Like, Gabriel Jesus' athleticism is not there. He can't press. He can't run. He doesn't have any strength. If Gyökeres is going to bring anything, he's at least going to press well. And broadly, under him, press has been fantastic recently. Like, it's been really, really good. And I made a whole video about Gyökeres pressing, like, specifically, because I was answering the question, like, why are we worse when Gyökeres comes off, which everyone keeps asking. And in that, I kind of went, I think it's mostly down to Jesus just not being at that level, but also Gyökeres does do well, like, fair enough. And like, that's all he needs. He's got that press, and if he just makes them runs and he's a bit more confident, I'm willing to allow that he's going to miss chances. That's fine. Just put yourself in them areas, and if they don't pass you the ball, then that's on them. That's not your fault. If you make the runs and they don't pass it to you, then I'm not blaming Gyökeres. But much better. Like, I was very that second half against Chelsea. The first half wasn't brilliant. He did almost score in the first half. With brilliant play we did down the right. But second half was much better. And like, I really like, now he's got competition. He doesn't have to play all the time with Havertz back or Mourinho there. But I'm at least encouraged by him. And we all want to see Gyökeres succeed. I see this thing where some people may have been critical about Gyökeres in the past, and they're like in the comments of videos, and they're like, oh, I bet you want him to be bad. Not to me, but I've seen it to other people. And I'm like, it's just, no Arsenal fan thinks like that. Like, surely.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because, I mean, I previously had said, like, for me, it was always Osimhen. That's who I wanted. That was like the choice for everything he could do, creating separation, his ability to make a goal for himself. He would be brilliant on the kind of the half-space crosses and things. I just thought he would be the right answer. No one went for him, and I do understand why. So it was kind of like, well, right now, there's no other option that I think we could go for that I'm entirely happy with. And when the club signed him, I went, fair enough. This is un-Arsenal-like. Maybe this is what we've needed. Maybe we need an un-Arsenal-like striker, which is really funny because here, so Zinho, thanks, mate. I found it hard to believe he's our striker. Like, stylistically, the stiffness of his movement is a little funny. And he's like so awkward. And that doesn't help him because you have that aesthetic bias. I think Bukayo Saka's the same. Like, he's so disjointed. There was recently, who was it? There was a defender in the Premier League. They were asked, who is the hardest player to mark? Which winger is the best dribbler? He was like, without a doubt, Bukayo Saka. He's like, and it's not his pace, it's not his skills, it's his like intelligence. But because of the way he plays and looks on the ball, and he's not got this amazing like burst of pace and things, people kind of sometimes disregard Saka, which is crazy. And I think they're almost doing it too much with Gyökeres, but they're there is nuance to the conversation, like you say. Like, he's got to do more. We had the conversation, I think, on the last pod we did, and we said, why is he not running into these spaces? I think, which is completely contradictory to what I thought when he first came to the club, I think he's a massive confidence striker. Like, I originally thought it won't matter what number he's wearing. If he goes for a couple of games without scoring, if people get on his back, I thought he would just kind of just ride it out. I thought he was that kind of character. The more I see of him, the more I think it's confidence. I reckon he came to the Premier League, and rightfully so. He looked at himself, went, yeah, I back myself for this. I think I can go and score, 20 odd goals in my first season. I can take the number 14 shirt and be that person to lead Arsenal to a title. And it hasn't been easy. And he started improving a little bit. Then he got the injury. He came back. He didn't look good. Wasn't receiving the ball in the areas that he wanted to. And when he did, he was losing out and he wasn't able to, bully defenders or run the channels in the same way. And I think for him, that's been the biggest thing. It really has. And once he scored that goal, you suddenly saw like a change in him. Like suddenly, I'm going to try to turn, I'm going to hold up play, turn the man. He was doing, the outside of the boot flick that he sometimes does and stuff. And just thought, that's what he needs. So it's hard, isn't it? Like, do we keep playing him? Because I worry if he's pulled out of the team for a game, then he kind of regresses and slides back a bit. But then at the same time, you've got to start resting him because we've got so many games up. Before we move on a minute, big up Alex Argyle. How's it going, mate? I hope you're well. And then 610 saying, I am just not convinced Gyökeres will make it at Arsenal because all we've got right now. So he needs our support. And I wish the fan base would be a bit more like that
it's just the thing. Like, he was never at the level of us anyway, but I thought he could be useful because he is a natural striker that we don't have, like a guy that just runs in behind all the time. So, like, I don't expect him to be this great guy from deep and holding up the ball. And when we get him to do that and he loses it, I'm like, well, what are we doing? Like, he can't control a ball. We know that. And I don't expect him or want him to do that either. Like, that is not why we brought him in, or I don't think that's why. But when, all he just needs to do is just make himself available and run around. He's not a guy that's good in the air, which is a problem with how we play sometimes. But I do think Ben White really, really will be a good link-up player with him. I know they got that kind of like assist thing in the game, but I just think Ben White is a guy that is probably our best low crosser in the team. And I do really think that's really important for him to have them low crosses and at least try things. And I do think that they will have that sort of connection. Like, they knew each other before he played. They played like one game together at Brighton in the cup. But I just think there's ways that it will get better, and I do think his confidence will be there. Havertz will be the long-term striker when he comes back, and even against Portsmouth when Havertz was back, I know it's Portsmouth later on in the game state's a big thing, I talk about it all the time, but I just felt like Havertz, like his link-up play was just incredible. I felt like he was just dropping deeper, sending Madueke through. He did a nice little 1-2 in the midfield, and we got out on the left side. And then in the box as well, we found him twice from chances where he has shots where the shot isn't brilliant, but I watched his movement. I did a whole video about it, and like, you could just one of the movements he does where Odegaard's running at the defenders, and there's two players on him, and what he does is he actually goes to fake to run, which pulls the left centre back into play, and then what he does is he backs up at the last minute because Odegaard doesn't do the pass. And what this means that the other centre back, the right centre back, has to stick with him as well. So we talk about pinning a lot for Gyökeres, but Havertz's movement was so good, it pinned both centre backs, and then in the end Odegaard makes this like awful pass, and it almost goes out, and Havertz back heels it. But the thing that is like clearer that people didn't even see until they watched the replay, and when I watched it first time, I saw it and was like, we should have done that. Is that Mourinho is making a run in between the centre back and the right back, where if Odegaard just passes it to Mourinho, it's probably a goal. And I'm like, that is completely created by the adaptation of Havertz's movement, and that's probably why after the game Arteta spoke about Havertz's movement. He's probably never seen anything like that with our team at the moment. And I think when Havertz comes in, like, I'm not expecting him to be a better finisher. He won't help like that way, but there's definitely ways it can benefit, and there's also ways that Havertz could probably play alongside Gyökeres, which will benefit him a lot. But it's all about confidence, like you said. Like, Gyökeres needs that goal. And hopefully that gives him a little bit more confidence, because we're not asking him to score every game. We're not asking for great performances. We're not asking him to create loads of chances. We just want him to run a bit and make the runs available for teammates. And that's all it is. But I don't know. Like I said at the start of the season, Gyökeres can score 5 goals and we can still win the league. And everyone was like, no, I don't think that. I still think the same. My opinion hasn't changed.
What is he on? Is it in the league 5 goals? Is it?
I think. So he's got 7 in all comps. So there would be 5 in the league, wouldn't it? Yeah. 2 penalties?
You never know. I mean, I hope he doesn't. Oh, God, if he just scored 5 goals. But to be fair, like earlier, I mean, we'll come on to the main part of this. Like T-Evolution, fair play. Yeah, can we win the quadruple? No, just give me 1 trophy and I'll be happy. Depends which trophy. I will add that. But if we win a trophy, no one cares. And this is the thing, no one remembers. You remember like certain moments. Like I'm old enough to remember like the 98 winning team and stuff. And I don't remember the entire season. And I couldn't tell you like out of which players, like, you know, I can remember which players had absolute elite seasons, but I wouldn't be able to go right out of the 20 odd players, put them in order of who had the best season, because no one cares. You just care about the armpits at the end of the season and those moments. Like I've got back there, I've got my gold Arsenal shirt with Wheel Tour on the back. Why Wheel Tour? Because that Old Trafford goal. Like things like that, like Canu jumping over him. They're the things you remember. So if Gyökeres scores 1 screamer, like at the Etihad in April, cool. I'm happy. I'll be running around doing that. And that would be the main thing. Before we finish up on him, his reaction to that goal, what is your feeling about it? Like, were you a bit like, is that like annoyance? Is that because he's, you know, he expects better of himself? Like for me, I quite liked it. I thought, yeah, good. Like he wants more. But for you?
I think it's just the sort of moment it happens in. I mean, we know that Gyökeres is frustrated. You can see he's frustrated, and you can see he is like, it's not. I know that I've criticized his riding, and I do think his riding needs to be better, but it is just such a mental block, I think, in him right now. Like he wants to win and he wants to try, and he is trying hard, but he just doesn't know where to apply himself because he's overthinking it so much, I think. And I don't think, and obviously his work off the ball I just spoke about, like he's working really, really hard. Like he wouldn't be doing that if he was just giving up. Like he isn't giving up, in my opinion. And I think, I mean, they spoke about this on Sky, where like Saka should put the ball into Gyökeres at the first time, and Gyökeres gets really frustrated and he puts his head up in the air, and then he kind of locks in because he sees Ben White coming in to cross it in, and it kind of falls to him
straight back in.
And he's just, but when he scores, he's kind of like, okay. I feel like in his head he was relieved and like a bit fed up, but like just happy it's over. But also I felt like he was still frustrated by the fact Saka didn't pass him the ball like 3 seconds, which is fair. And people on Twitter will be like, well, why does Saka could do what he wants? Yeah, he can, but there's no reason why Gyökeres can't be frustrated. He's allowed to be annoyed if Saka doesn't pass him the ball when he should do sometimes. Just because Saka is this incredible player doesn't mean he doesn't have to. He does have to pass the ball sometimes. Like, is a thing.
The thing is, it benefits Saka as well. This is what people don't realize, that football's not binary. If he starts making like those first time passes inside to Gyökeres, whether they come off or not, that makes the defenders get double guess. You know, they're like, oh, we've got to shift that way. So when he does cut inside, he's got that extra step. He's got that extra second. And that minuscule amount of time, that makes a difference. And then suddenly we start seeing Saka scoring more goals. Like, and like the whole, you know, GA starts to go up for Saka, like just because he's making those decisions. You can't be predictable. Like you can't, unless you're, you know, the absolute elite, like a Robben, where he was so predictable with what he was going to do, but he just couldn't stop it. Like
he's just got to play quicker as well, Saka. Like that's been my big critique of this season. We know Saka's a slow type of dribbler that sees out games, but I just feel like with some of the players around him now, we have sort of embedded this more counter-attack and more quicker approach, whether it's been working or not. And I just feel like Saka isn't quick enough sometimes. I feel like he wants to control the ball, take his time. And look, we end up scoring from that situation. It doesn't matter in the end. We got lucky because Ben White kicks the ball basically at Sanchez and he misses it. But like, and even in fact slowed the ball down for Gyökeres. He's like basically gave him a goal. But obviously Saka's like our best attacker, our most undeniable attacker, but he hasn't been incredible this season. So like there is ways he can improve, and I'm sure he'll know that too. And I just feel like sometimes he needs to play it a bit quicker, but it's the same with anyone. We've had this critique of Odegaard for ages where, you know, he takes way too long on the ball sometimes, and sometimes we need that quicker approach. And if he's not going to bring it in the attacking third when we're dominating games, because I actually think broadly the last month you've seen really why Odegaard is a very effective player in this team. But in certain games where we need to be quicker, we need to get that ball in. If we're playing a more of a basketball game, I don't know if Odegaard is the whole point of him being on the pitch is to make it not a basketball game. But if he's on the pitch and it's still a basketball game, then I'm worrying a bit because I just think someone like Ethan or Eze, maybe not Eze, but I think Ethan would be someone that would be much more applied to that sort of situation, especially like in the pocket play as well. But like just because like these players are really good doesn't mean we can't be critical. Like Trossard's been brilliant this season. I think he's absolutely outstanding. I'm still critical when he's not amazing, but I don't broadly think he has any bad games. I just think sometimes we don't go down his side as much because of the left back situation, which I don't think it was always on him. Like I don't think against Chelsea our left side worked, but then we have Timber, who I don't think played very well in left back. And then it's just like, and then I don't also think I think Gabriel was good, but I don't think he was good as Saliba. So then I just think that it makes sense we go down the right. So it's just situations like that. And like, there is going to be games Saka's going to be quiet, but he's got to. I'm not saying that he has to pass it to Gyökeres all the time, but there's a few moments where like there's definitely the option to pass it, and when you don't score, then that's what people are going to be talking about, which is fair. We should have that criticism of any player that plays for the club, not just the guy that like we have to defend. Like I love Saka, but you know, if we want to get better, like we have to find that. Everyone's critical of Madueke's end product. It's just how it is, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just looked up. I know that Don Draper at Arsenal Barclays, if anyone wants to go find him on X, he put out from The Athletic essentially about Arsenal's attacks in transition this season. So in the past, we've averaged about 2.2. So like from 2020 to the 2022-23 season, we averaged 2.2 direct attacks per 90. So basically that means getting a shot away after having the ball in your box within 15 seconds. This season, so last season we went out to 2.3. So it's always 2.2, 2.2, 2.2, went down to 1.9, 2.3. This season, we've gone up to 3. So like we are like completely far and away more transitional. And even for us, we're not by any means right at the top in the league, but for us, this is a more open way of playing and definitely more direct. We just, the team have got to work out how to actually manage that because that takes time. It's not like you can just go, right, go everyone. Just, I want you to go more direct. It doesn't quite work like that. But yeah, it's interesting that you picked up on that, mate. And it's actually, evidence-based, shall we say. Before we kind of move on, because I know we want to go on to the momentum, the past 10 games, because we haven't talked for like a month, which is mental. I know Pete was just saying about the League Cup, and I know that also we've got quite a few people. So Aklak, Arsenal as well, saying about the quadruple. We will come on to the trophies themselves in a little bit, guys. So just hang around and it will come back up. This is interesting. Before we move on to the momentum slides. Digi Scott, big up Digi. I've been chatting with Digi on Instagram recently. Such a good guy. Learning Arteta's tactics and overthinking seem to be inescapable aspects of the bedding in process at Arsenal. The two positions where thinking get in the way of performance, goalkeeper and striker. I mean, like, you even think of like Marino when he first came. I think most Arsenal fans who weren't looking at him closely were thinking, that's complete dud. Like, what have we done? Like, he's not. And now look at him. He's like playing DM at times and doing well. He's playing as a as a 10. He's playing as a 9. He's stepping in for Declan Rice. Like, I think Arteta's system is so difficult. Like, Gyökeres will get better. I have no doubt. Like, I don't think he can stay at this level. Then next year he'll suddenly be a level above. He's just not going to be the elite. But oh God, wish we had
It's just so weird, isn't it? Because it's like I always find that like the problem is now we're broadly in a system where we are one of the best teams in Europe. We are competing at a high level that I've ever seen us compete at, but probably the highest level we've competed at consistently since like 20 years ago, realistically. And
yeah 100%.
I think people just expect players to be there. Like I say to people, "Oh, who do you want as a left winger?" And they go, "This guy, this guy, this guy." And I'm like, "Okay, but they all got problems. No one's going to be a slam dunk because we respectfully, we're not Newcastle. We're not like a we're not like a team that the expectations aren't that high. We're not a Tottenham. We're not a United at the moment because United getting Cunha is good for them because it's an upgrade on what they have and it will get them up the league. But to Cunha, to us, is Cunha the difference between second and first? No. And that's the issue, is trying to find players at that level consistently that not only is intelligent but can do this tactical play, but it's just finding that level. When I look at strikers in Europe, people go Haaland, but the other strikers that are basically at Haaland's level are like Harry Kane, Mbappe, like, you know, players that are just not gettable. Like, we all know they're not. So you have to take gambles. We got a Gyökeres in because we tried to change our system up. The same with Eze. I know people want to talk about how Eze is very much a wing fielder, very much like Wenger times. But under Arteta, and at least over the last 7-8 years of the club, we haven't really had players like that in a very long time. So it isn't like the identity of our recent success. I know we haven't won anything, but to be competitive is not having these players. And after coming second 3 times in a row, we're having a quite limited squad in terms of numbers. They clearly just went this season, we're going to take risks on players that don't maybe fit our style, maybe don't fit something that we have, but we're going to try and change our system to be more direct, like we mentioned with the stats, or play in this certain way to give them a chance. But it's a give or take. They've also got to learn the system as well. Like, you've seen it, I'd say, the most with the off the ball work. Out of possession, we are one of the best teams in Europe, and that's the hardest thing to learn because the gaps that we give and what we do. And even this season, there's been probably some problems here and there, but there always will be. It's such a tough thing to get right. And like Mourinho, when he first came in, his big criticism I had was like off the ball. I just didn't really think he was at that level. I think now when Odegaard's coming off in games with 10 minutes left for Mourinho, speaks wonders of what the club think with Mourinho off the ball. I think off the ball he has improved probably to one of the best players in our squad right now, genuinely. And I think the club see that as well. That's why he comes on all the time late on. Eze doesn't have that off the ball work, so he doesn't play. Madueke has learned a little bit. Like in the Bournemouth game, he showed a way better level off the ball. But then in Portsmouth, he was lazy again and pretty bad, and then gave away that first goal. So it's like these things that we want, these principles that we want. And it's not just like, oh, it's a specific Arteta thing. This is what principles of highly tactical managers just want around Europe. Pep Guardiola wants the same from his players all the time. He signs very specific players, and that's why some of them don't work. 45 mil for Calvin Phillips. It just didn't work. He didn't get the time to be, admittedly, but also he just off the ball wasn't covering the gaps quick enough. So like when I look at all this, like we got Gyökeres in was to basically our logic, and I think our logic going into it was that look at the amount of players that Arsenal have played up front. They get good chances per year. Havertz, Marino, Jesus. Like these players, when they've played up front, have got chances. So using that logic, if you can continue that progression, if you continue the creation that we had in certain games, I know it's on and off, like we always are. Like the whole team is weird. But if we keep it up to that level, if you have a striker that's in the right positions and is deadly in the box, then hypothetically you would think that's a risk worth taking. Do I think Gyökeres, in terms of like individual footballer, is at the level of everyone else? No, I don't. I just think we purely brought him in to be a finisher. The problem is that obviously the Premier League is so hard. We play against a lot of low blocks and he can't get the space. And then he's not making the run in basketball games as much. So, and that's been a confidence thing. That's been an issue of him like applying himself in the team, which is obviously going to take time as well. But you know, like people are so quick to write Šeško for United because he comes into a team that is very not dysfunctional. They're actually been all right this year, United, but obviously the club's got so many messes with the owners. They've now sacked Amarin, and Šeško I've watched United's last 3 games. He's had something like 15 shots in 3 games against Burnley, he had 7 shots on target, which is the most in any single game this season by any Premier League player. And he scored twice, which are 2 really good goals. And I was like, okay, Šeško might not be the guy for United and they might ruin him. It's highly probable to happen knowing their club. But like, this guy has that potential, even though he's not going to do it now. And I don't think if Šeško came into Arsenal, he would have been scoring a huge amount of goals either. He probably would be on the same as Gyökeres. And we might even still having these conversations about, like, is he the right person? But at least, like, with the give or take, he's younger, he can develop a bit more. He's actually physically, he's like bigger and a better dribbler. But it's a give or take. Like, Waltmarder, people were talking about him at the start of the year. He's completely fell off the last couple of months. He can't keep up physically for this prolonged amount of time. You know, they spent 30 million more pounds on Waltmarder, Ekitike, and Šeško than we did on Gyökeres. And at the moment, I know 55 mil seems like a lot expensive signing, but it's just not in the striker market. And I know he doesn't seem like he's worth 55 mil, but the striker market is awful. I don't know what to say to anyone. If you said to me what striker should Arsenal sign now, I would be like, good luck. That's why we're linked to Etta Iyong in January, like last month. He scored 6 goals this season, and that's his first season in the top 5 league. You can't buy anyone. It's just incredibly hard. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it like we took a risk. It didn't quite work out. And I just think that I don't begrudge the team for doing that. I don't think anyone at Arsenal fans are negative on the fact that we signed Eze, when I think Eze, although has had them outstanding games against Tottenham, I think against Sunderland was pretty good as well. I think he's been good in these certain games. I don't think anyone's sitting there going, well, that was a waste of 70 mil when he realistically isn't playing. He's 27 as well. And like, where are we going to fit him in? So it is what it is. And them signings like Eze and Madueke, more importantly, them two, stop us getting a Semenyo. It's not Gyökeres that stops that happening. Like, it's not
100%.
that's not the gap. So I don't know. Like, I think that we took risks because things weren't working when we tried to go the other way. So we went the other way. And I think some of the players have been broadly okay. Like, I think Eze will be great at this club. I just do think he has that level and he will get to that level. It just takes time. I don't know if Gyökeres will be great, but I'm sure that we can at least get him to be effective. And that's all we need. That's all we need. We've got Havertz back anyway now, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, you look at, like, so, I know it's not the same thing, but say Jack Grealish goes to City. How much was that? Was that like 100 million?
100 mil, yeah.
Yeah. And City fans will tell you, well, I don't care. You know, we won the treble. We won the league like multiple times. We won. And for them, the justification is we spent what we had to for a player that helped us win what we won. And I just think, well, in the grand scheme of things, 55 mil was it for Gyökeres? That's not big money these days, which is crazy to say. 55 million pounds. I'm sure that's like the GDP for certain nations, but it's just not an elite football now. And you look at City. City have literally spent like another 100 mil this January after spending like 200 mil the last January, and it's the way of football now, unfortunately. And I reckon, like you say, the Eze deal and the Madueke deal are probably more hampering us to go get Semenyo. But I would hope the reason we haven't gone and get Semenyo is that we have kind of looked at a different profile and we're looking at something else. But we'll kind of come into that in a bit. This comment, by the way, this comment is so funny. I was like trying to read it as you were talking because I was like, where has this come from? So Digi Scott says, used to juggle, self-taught, but could do a fair few tricks. Then a mate who taught circus skills taught me how to juggle so that I could access more tricks in the future. Better tactical knowledge. And for the next few months, totally effed my ability to do all but the simplest tricks. That's why I see Victor. Like, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like that overcomplicating thing is. I think he just needs to be told, just make the run. Just because, you know, we've talked about his shooting like areas and locations. Like, just do what you've always done.
And there is problems in that. Like, I've said that his shooting locations are pretty bad. And also, like, I do find it funny when you watch the Liverpool game specifically. If you watch a lot of the chances of like where we get the ball down the wing and where Gyökeres is, he's just fighting Konate. And the thing is, he is a guy that I saw this in the Portuguese league a lot as well, where he basically would physically go up to a defender, basically to body them or go past them, then to score. And in the Prem, he needs to stay away from players, not on them, because Konate just held him and went, well, okay, this is all right for me. And that's the problem. Like physically,
it goes back to that like tightest marked player. Like you watch Haaland, you mentioned his name, perfect example. Like no, they're not the same profile, but similar in terms of like they're happy to have contact and stuff, and they want to run in and on beyond. Like it just there's a complete difference in intelligence. Like Haaland will body someone if he needs to. And I think like you look at him against Arsenal now, when he comes against Gabriel and Saliba, he started to work out, actually, I don't want that contact all the time. There's times I can do it, and there's times I just get bounced. So I don't think Gyökeres has worked that out. And
it's like
I mean, I'm sure.
It's like what you said. It's like when Haaland does. What Haaland does is he wants to bounce off players so he can get momentum a lot of the time. And I completely agree with you what you said about, because it didn't really work against Gabriel. He's tried to do it for years, as much. But like Gyökeres wants to be like that as well. That is the thought he has in his head. But the problem is he's just not strong enough. Like in the Premier League, the level to be strong is insane. And Gyökeres is a guy that he's a bit of a fighter, a bit like he'll go up against you, but then he'll be like falling on the floor, be like slipping down. He does it all the time. He slips down. He does it. Like he just doesn't have that physical level. And like Gabriel Jesus has athleticism. He's completely gone. He has no athleticism in his body, and it's still, I would say, at the moment, he's on about the even level of holding the ball to his back as Gyökeres. And I'm like, that's just stuff that Kai does, eats for breakfast. He doesn't even care.
It's functional strength, isn't it? Like, Gyökeres is a big guy. He is a big guy. I would be interested to see how much he actually weighs for his height, because I don't think like he really carries that much like body fat. Like I know some people are like, oh, he's probably too big for the league, and like he's more of like a bodybuilder type in terms of like he's obviously gone to the gym and like worked really hard to get himself in that shape. But I don't think he's doing things like plyometrics. I don't think he's using things like going straight from a strength exercise into like a bounding exercise. I don't think he's doing things like, depth jumps and things, which would all benefit him massively. And he's got no awareness of like center of mass. Like he doesn't seem to understand, like if you got a lower center of mass, you're going to be harder to push off the ball. He's like, and he slumps. He kind of like slides down to the floor all the time. It's really bizarre for such like a big dude. You think he'd be able to, hold off players with one arm. Like look at Miles Lewis-Skelly. Miles Lewis-Skelly is not massive, but once that arm comes out, it's so difficult to get the ball off him. And there we go, 187 centimeters, 90 kilos. So like he's not a small dude. It's how you use it.
Like, he's just not strong enough. Like you can be the biggest dude in the world, but if you don't know how to use your body weight, it doesn't matter. I also just think generally, if you look at Premier League strikers, they are massive, but all of them have got technical levels. Like the only striker I think that is somewhat comparable is Haaland to an extent, maybe. But like I think Haaland's probably actually the most easiest, like comparable to Gyökeres, but there's different levels to that. And then maybe Jean-Philippe Mateta. But then even then, Jean-Philippe Mateta keeps things very simple. He's incredibly like strong for his weight. Like Mateta is a big dude. Mateta is 6'4", so he's a little bit taller than Gyökeres as well. But he actually like dominates people. Like even people like Walt Marder, who was obviously massive, but he's not big, you know what I mean? He's lean. He's very lean.
Yeah.
Like Ekitike, sort of like they're dribbling type of player. He's very technically good. So I'd say that's a very different type of striker. But Mateta is more of that, I'm gonna like run into you and go past you. And Mateta just, his movement is better and all that things is better. And he's just the biggest thing is that Arsenal have been playing these sort of basketball type games recently, and I think a lot of it is down to every time we get pressed, we have no out ball. This was so prevalent against Liverpool and Portsmouth, not too much against Chelsea because we were building up really, really well, especially on the right side. But against Portsmouth, it was concerning. They were pressing us, and We didn't know what to do, so we just boot the ball long. Madueke and Jesus would just lose the jaw, and then we'd lose the ball again, and then we're getting dominated by Portsmouth. And I was like, this is pathetic. Like, we just have to do better as a club. And that is one of the issues that we have with Gyökeres, is the team is all trying to overcomplicate it, because fundamentally, like, we can't go long, and that's not really on Gyökeres as much, because that is something he can't do, and he never could do. Like, he never was a player that was going to be directly good from Jules, even though
we said that before he was even signed, didn't we?
Like that's just reasons why we need Havertz in the team, just for that. I would love to see what happens if Havertz starts and Gyökeres comes on later, something like that, because Havertz will make the pressing really good anyway. Then you bring Gyökeres on, and he'll keep the pressing level really high, and he'll have that space later on in games. I'd love to see that a little bit more. That could be quite fun. I think that might be a better system for both of them, to be honest.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that would be great, but just when are we going to see it? Like, we've just got to pray that they both can stay fit. Like, oh, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I mean, you've just mentioned Pompey, where I went actually to university in Portsmouth. I've got a bit of affinity to Portsmouth. I was there when they won the FA Cup. They are a proper football city. Like, there's people with a Portsmouth tattoo, like, everywhere. They live and breathe football. I went, do you know what? One of my favourite games I've ever been to is I went to watch Arsenal against Portsmouth at Fratton Park, and Thierry Henry got a standing ovation. It was unbelievable. They're a brilliant club. Anyway, 4-1 there. We've got the 3-2 Chelsea, the 0-0 draw against Liverpool. Let's quickly talk about that one. Is it 2 points dropped? Is it a good point? Should we have been battering them? Like, honestly, just like quick, what do you reckon about that one?
I don't know if I think, other than if we're playing City away, or like maybe like some of the top elite teams like Bayern away, they are acceptable draws or games that we're not going to get wins in. Liverpool at home, we have to be doing better in. But it's not the result that I care about. The second half performance against Liverpool was broadly our worst performance of the season. We were so bad. We couldn't even get the ball.
Yeah, I watched the replay of it all. I was like, oh my God.
They just absolutely, they literally did what we do to teams. And it's funny because they didn't get any shots on target because they had no striker, but we just failed to get the ball again, which is becoming a serious issue. Odegaard's whole role in this team is to keep the ball and keep possession later on. He just isn't doing it sometimes. That's why I think we're bringing Marino on. I don't know if that's down to fatigue or what's going on, but our block recently as well, later on in games, has been awful. We've been getting played through, and I think a lot of it is down to Odegaard not identifying the gaps better enough. Okay, yeah, like Marino could do better, and Rice and stuff, but you know, Odegaard's job is to make that stuff okay. When Marino comes in, it does look a lot better. So, and you think about the games where we've been nervy at the end of the games. I'm not saying it's just on Odegaard, but the games that we've been nervy, very much like the Wolves game. Everton, kinda like Crystal Palace, we were as well. Brighton, we were nervy at the end. You know, games that Marino came off the bench in was like Bournemouth, like Chelsea. These games, we just look much more comfortable. Like, I just think, I don't know what's going on. I think that we were awful in that game against Liverpool, though, and that annoyed me, because Arteta is on another level tactically than Slot. Slot isn't like an elite tactician. He's a good manager. Like, he's great at other things that make him elite. But I don't think he's like the best tactical guy in the world. And he just seems to keep getting Arteta. I don't know what Arteta's like voodoo in Liverpool is, but that's 2 years in a row we haven't beaten them. We drew both last year. We drew and lost this year. It's pretty bad. Like, he needs to do better. And the performance, we didn't deserve to win. We almost got a call in the last minute, but whoop-de-doo, like, we didn't deserve it. So I don't know. I was a bit frustrated for that game.
It's funny though, because again, it goes back to the, you know, the old adage of you've got to beat the best to win that. Like, and I just look and go, well, actually, you don't, because quite often it's all the other games. It's not, you know, playing the second, third, or fourth, you know, best teams. It's how you do across the entire season. Like, what a surprise. The league that's won on points is it matters how you do against every single team on average over a season.
That's just such sort of like Man United thinking, isn't it? As well, like they all the narrative is always pushed by the old Fergie boys. And it was funny because the other day I was just looking at, did Danny Welbeck ever play with Cristiano Ronaldo? And then they actually scored together against Stoke 4-1 in 2008. And I looked at that season and I was like, Manchester United's 4 losses in the league or 3 losses in the league were they lost to us and drew to us, and then they lost to Liverpool home and away, and then they drew to Chelsea and beat them once. And I was like, that's the rest of the top 4. They won 1 game out of 8, and they won the league. I was like, it doesn't matter, does it? Like, who cares? They want to cush on that one because no one remembers like the end of 2000s. Cause I don't think anyone cares. They're like the most forgettable years ever. But it's just like, that is a thing. It's just Man City have done the same as well when they've won the league. Like, yeah, exactly. But I do think we should do like. I'd be a bit worried about our top 6 performances overall, but Chelsea was better at least.
Like I'm not too worried about them. Like we're not going into games and dominating, but I think Arteta is just looking at them sensibly and going, as long as we don't lose anything, then I'm happy, because our form prior to the season against like the big 6, I guess you'd say, has been outstanding. It's been really, really good. And it was always going to have a little drop off. That was going to happen, law of averages. But as long as we do better in the repeat fixtures of last year, then fine. And we have done that. We've done that with Newcastle. We've done that with Villa. We've done that against multiple teams. So like if we have a draw against Liverpool, no problem. The loss against Liverpool, like an absolute screamer right near the end, like at Anfield, like it's not something that I'm going to be absolutely hellish about. Maybe ask me in May or June, and I'll tell you
we had
a
so
different
many
answer.
injuries going into that game as well. I think it was more like Liverpool didn't have a striker in this game, and we could have gone 8 points clear, which is the disappointment more of it. But yeah, like it's not the end of the world. When we drew, I was annoyed at the time, and then after the day, I was like, it's not like the worst. I'm not a guy that thinks anything's the end of the world anyway. I'm pretty like content with things generally. I don't cry about everything that everyone on Twitter does. As soon as like we're winning 8 games in a row, and it's like, why is Eze not playing? It's like, okay, yeah, it's a discussion point, but like, does it matter? Like, I'd rather just win games. I don't know. That's all I care about. So yeah, like it's like we look at these games like broadly over all these games. I don't think our performances, a lot of them, have been incredible. I'd say there's about 20 minutes in 30 minutes in these games where we've been good, bar maybe Liverpool. I think we're just bad all of it. But it doesn't matter because like we've won like all these games other than that one. Like we drew and like the cup game or whatever we nearly threw away. Like it's like that's all that matters around this period of time. We know what the winter period's like. It's just mental. And like some of these games, for instance, like the Villa game, Arsenal were a patient team. Arsenal were a very, very patient team. And when we play in the first half against teams, we are going to see out the game, home or away. I'd say a lot more at home we're going to do it, but we kind of wait for the other team to make a mistake or act. Now that sometimes is fine. Against Liverpool, Liverpool and Villa is the 2 examples of like, we did that in both them games. Against Villa, we were kind of lucky we not to concede in the first half. And then in the second half, we scored an early corner and just ripped them apart. And it was all happy and sunshine and rainbows. But then we didn't get that in the Liverpool game. We didn't get an early corner and we didn't get the ball. So we couldn't do that. So it's like, it's give or take to this patient first half play. And I get why people are frustrated about it.
I mean, isn't it nice, though, in terms of the Liverpool game, that our, to be honest, our tactically and technical worst, we still drew against Liverpool. Like, and it's not like they were a terrible team. And yes, they haven't been fantastic. But if you look at their current form, they've actually been in form leading up to that game. They still do have individuals that can hurt you, regardless of missing a striker. Like, it's not the end of the world. I think some people were just going absolutely mental about it. And I just think it's probably because we were all hoping, get an extra 3 points on City, or an extra 2 points. And it just wasn't meant to be. Like, it is what it is. Go on. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say, I was working out. We've scored 10 set piece goals in these games. in these games. In these 10 games, we've
Oh,
scored 10
God.
set piece goals. That's insane. When are we going to stop scoring corners? Every time we score a corner now, I'm just like, oh my God, guys, like we are maybe
Mate,
a
it's not as
little.
bad as the own goal run we went on.
Yeah, but most of them are from corners. It's like they don't even count as set piece goals on statistics. Like on the statistics, we've scored something like 12. It's something like 15 or 16 corner goals or 17. But it's like actually of own goals, it's like 20. We've caused the 3 others that didn't count as of own goals, and I'm like, it's actually insane. Like against Palace when we played in the cup, there we just dominated and just missed every chance under the moon, and then we scored from an own goal from a corner, and I was like, what is this team? This team is so weird.
Oh, mate, I went on the instant reaction on the Cannon podcast of that, and obviously it got delayed and got delayed again. I was like, oh my God. And it was horrible because everyone just kept scoring. She's like, oh, would someone miss? And I had a horrible feeling it was going to be Declan Rice on that. Just had this terrible, terrible feeling that it was going to be him. But nevertheless, we got through it. We got through it, mate. So that's the last 10 games. So 8 wins, 2 draws. This is excluding, obviously, the Champions League games that we've got against Inter, and we've got the one in against the Kazakhstanian team. I forgot what they're called now. Can you remember what they're called?
Kairat.
That's the one. Thank you very much, mate. So the next 5 Premier League fixtures for Arsenal, Man City. I want to go through this, and I want to kind of put a total amount of points for each. We're going to do a prediction for Arsenal and City over the next 5 fixtures. So let's go with, so the Forest game for us. We're at Forest. They're not looking as good as they did last season. I think we can get 3 points there. I'm happy to say that. I think it'll be like a...
Every game worries me. Can't even lie. Like I watched the Cannon podcast and he was saying that like I saw George was saying that like Leeds away. He's like, oh yeah, that'd be an easy game. We can rotate. And I'm like, Leeds away is like they haven't lost. They're unbeaten. They're like we've lost 1 out of the last 7 Prem games or something. Like they're so good at home. Like the intensity, I know what Daniel Farke brings anyway to a team. Like at home, it's always been intensified. Like his teams have always played better at home. But since the Leeds have moved to this back 5, they have been really, really, really good. And even their draws that they've got, they lost to Newcastle last week. That was the first loss in like 7. Shouldn't have lost that game. Like they were winning the game for most of it, conceding the 97th minute. I don't know why the ref was still playing. Like I worry about every game, like even Forest away. I watched Man City play Forest away a couple of weeks ago, 2-1 win for City. And I can't lie, it was an even game. Maybe City edged it, you could argue, but City were clinical. They scored from a corner late on and they took 1 chance in the second half. And I'm like, can we do that? Like, who's going to rotate tomorrow? Because we just played on Wednesday and then we've got a game. I don't care about the Inter game as much on Tuesday. I think that even if we lose, we can beat Kairat and then we can just win, come first or second anyway. I know that Arteta won't think like that. I just know he won't, but I wouldn't care as much. I would care more about this in the United game. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think he'll try to send a statement of we win every game in the Champions League. Like we have turned that corner because we drew against them, didn't we, previously? And I have a feeling he wants to win that game.
We lost there last season to a Chanalog loop penalty. I just think that like, yeah, I agree. Inter are like a weird team, to be fair. I watch it quite a lot. They're just a weird team. They're also kind of struggling a little bit in front of goal the last couple of games. But I just think like, yeah, like I just want to get results in the Prem. I'm just worried about like this competition more than anything. Forest away tomorrow is going to be tough. Ruben Dias should have been sent off. It's right. I watched that game, and do you know what the funny thing is? This is so random. I'm glad something shit, but I watched that game, and obviously, if anyone knows me, the biggest thing that I'm probably very passionate about is journalism and like people talking
Call of Duty
publicly.
The Bundesliga.
Right, but like I would say that like I mean even my shorts recently have been very, I would say, passion filled, maybe a little bit teetering on angry videos that have been
Oh, mate, I'm so glad I've got the internet back now, because I am going to go and sit and watch some of these tomorrow now.
I think
I
it's probably
love angry wackles.
we haven't done this podcast. I haven't been able to like speak to people a lot like deeply about like Arsenal and stuff. So but a lot of my I've been seeing so much stupid stuff on Twitter, like more than ever like, in the last couple of weeks, like all the time. And I'm just like, no, I'm just not gonna have it. I'm making a short about this. I don't care. I made a short about
Yes.
I made like a short about Gary Neville talking about the Martinelli thing, which I don't want to get into because I've already spoken about so many times. But I did a whole short about how I think Gary Neville is basically a dickhead for saying that. See, the key point here is where I said there for saying that. I didn't say he was one. That's something. That's the nuance that he didn't have when Martinelli did the thing. I said in a short that I was like, I don't like him calling Martinelli an idiot, because I think that when you're on TV, you have to have more grace and be a little bit more aware about it. And then I genuinely got DMs telling me like genuinely like death threats from it. And I was like, who cares about Gary Neville that much? But it might have been Liverpool fans, even though in the short I was like, what Martinelli did was wrong, and I don't agree with that.
Oh my God.
But like the whole point of it, I literally said
That is shocking.
it's just funny. I thought it was hilarious because, like, this is like for me, it's like I've had a lot more serious opinions about things that I think people can a lot more disagree with than that. But I said that, and I saw some people saying like. I saw some people being like, "Well, if he is an idiot, he should be able to like he should just say it." And I was like, "Yeah, that's how you think when you're talking to your mates." But I was like, as someone who's got a degree in journalism and has worked in this business for 5 years nearly, I understand that you can't say things publicly that you may think
You
in
got
certain ways.
professional responsibility.
Because the big important thing about it drives narratives, and the problem is that
Mhm.
we talk about this a lot with the Mars Lewis Skelly thing. You might think Mars Lewis Skelly gets red carded too much, and that is fair, but calling him a thug is going to make people that don't follow Arsenal as much or don't do the due diligence to do the research like we would, or people who like Arsenal are just going to go and
Yep.
think he's some bully or some thug that doesn't deserve like anything. Like, and that's just not true because you got angry in the moment. Another great example of this is actually Roy Keane on the Overlap this week talking about Johnny Evans in detail about how has he got that job of him being a United guy. I think fair enough he's saying it, but then he starts talking about the wife and then all this other stuff, this personal stuff, and I'm just like, this is where you haven't separated being on a platform where you're talking and you have a responsibility to be careful in the narratives and your opinion. I sometimes say some crazy stuff, which is my opinion, which might be a little bit out of pocket. But like with me and everything I say, I always see both sides of the argument and try and find that sort of gap. And like, I think it's fine if you're with your mates and you're chilling and you're having a chat and you're talking about whatever you want to. Like, and I think it's fine if your platform isn't. It depends on the size of your platform as well. But when you're talking publicly on live TV, like I've said this a lot. I've said on the Overlap, I think like whatever, it's their podcast to an extent. If it gets views, it gets views. I still think they should have a little leeway of being able to say what they want a bit more on that platform. But on TV, Gary Neville just can't be saying stuff like that because now people are going to be sending horrible threats.
He was
to
on
Martinelli.
commentary at the time as well, wasn't he?
And then
So it
he came
wasn't
on the
like it
stage
was
after
post
and was like,
game even. It was like,
and even post game, he came on the thing and he's like, oh, this is a disgrace and stuff. And I'm like, it's just crazy that you could have that opinion that in that moment. And I just thought that's so funny because like I just think that's just incredibly like I don't even know what the word is, but it just speaks of people not understanding their privilege of their position. And I think it's a bad thing. And then Martinelli's now getting booed at Portsmouth. Like, who cares? Why are they booing him? Like, oh my god, he scores a hat trick on their head. Like,
that was so strange, so odd. Like, I don't understand. I guess for them it's like, oh, that's a good laugh. Let's just vilify him because we've got no kind of. There's no link, do you know what I mean, between us and them anymore.
Nicest person as well, like in our squad. Like I just genuinely don't think that guy has a bad bone in his body. So like there's certain players in our team that wind players up, like Ben White. So if they want to take the piss out of it, fair enough. Like, you know what, you give it, you take it. I get that. But Martinelli made a mistake that he shouldn't have made in the moment. But people need to remember that these guys are playing professional football at the highest level. I always go back to the F1 things. I always speak about it as like one of my mottos. Where like, you know, Lando Norris has just had a 2-hour race. He's sweating, he's knackered, and they're like, and then he goes, "Oh, what do you feel about that guy that he got his elbows out and was driving?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he really pissed me off today." And everyone on Twitter is like, "Absolutely disrespectful. He should." And it's just like, bro, give him some rest, man. He's just had a 2-hour race. Like, I'm sure in 3 days later, if you asked him in hindsight and when he's calmed down, he's probably like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I shouldn't have said, oh, whatever." But you've got to give the benefit
It's
of
hard.
the doubt.
Like it's like me. I go on the instant reaction. We go live like directly after, and I have to try and collect my thoughts. So you're trying to talk about a game tactically. You're trying to talk about a game that is literally just happened. You can't watch anything back, so you don't have time for like any replays or anything like that. Quite often, I try to watch the game without the commentary, so I don't have that on. So I don't have any kind of idea about the narratives around it. And then you've got the emotions of everything that's just happened. And then it's like, right, let's go and chat about this. That's hard enough, let alone being the person who's on that pitch. And I haven't really talked about it because obviously I haven't been online. I haven't been able to. But I will just say, it is mad how a lot of us, and I get it, like I used to, but like idolize footballers. I will say this: if you are looking at a footballer and their moral compass for guidance, then you need to start looking elsewhere. And as for the United people like Roy Keane and Gary Neville, like I just think, I mean, and I can say this because my platform is tiny. So this is the difference. All right. So bear in mind as well, guys, please hit the like button and subscribe because we are on our way to getting more. Come on, we can get to that 1,000 subscribers. But I look at Gary Neville, look what he did to Reyes. Look at what he did. And then you're commenting on Martinelli when a player has rolled themselves back on the pitch as well. So it's not even like it's just happened that he's decided to push him off the pitch. He's come off the pitch, back on. So for Martinelli, in that moment, he doesn't know there's an injury. He's just going like, get back off the pitch. Like, what are you doing? We want to play on. We want to restart. So I completely understand what's happened. He's then gone and apologized as well. But Roy Keane ended someone's career, multiple. Like, just go and watch videos of that guy. Like Rio Ferdinand, suddenly with drug tests and like avoiding certain places and certain people. Paul Scholes and eating his daughter's toenails. Like, these are people that I'm probably not going to listen to them taking the moral high ground a lot of the time. Like, just Wayne Rooney. He had some interesting friends of all ages apparently. But I just a lot of the time I try not to listen to him, but they do have a duty to just think about what they say, like slightly earlier. And
the problem is they are just glorified fans, though. Like, I know that they played the game and they have more of an understanding of a mental level of normal fans, but the way that they speak, it is just like you go to the pub and you speak. People speak like how they speak, and like I just personally think for people that are trying to aspire to be into the journalism or on TV or whatever, there's just a much bigger like problem. There were so many people that are incredibly passionate about this country, about football, and they never get a look in ever. They never get a look in, and a lot of that is not personally on Gary Neville's fault. That is personally on like society and how people see people. You know, how people talk about people they don't know, or what, you know, you always got to prove something to everyone all the time in this country, like every single moment. But like. And I get that, but like a lot of it as well is like I just don't think that these guys do a good enough job. And like the thing is, they can do it. I know that Gary Neville and Roy Keane and stuff don't like Arsenal. I understand that. I completely get it. I don't like Manchester United. I think anyone can understand that. But there's a time and place where you've got to look at a situation a little bit more clearer. The people around Gary Neville it wasn't like Gary Neville was part of a moment where everyone was annoyed and saying the same things. He was practically the only one. And the hypocrisy of the whole situation is that he is annoyed at Martinelli for not judging the situation in a very intense, quick time. But then I would believe that Gary Neville's not done the same thing in the words
Yeah, that's so true.
in the thing. So like, if Gary Neville came out after him, was like, okay, like I shouldn't have gone that far, but I don't agree with what he did. Perfectly fine. I don't agree, and I'm not defending Martinelli. I never am, and that was just wrong. Like, you just don't do that. And like a lot of people have said, you just don't even go to the player on the floor. Like, that's stupid. You know, start fighting Van Dijk or whatever. Just find someone that just do something else. And I agree with that. What Martinelli did was wrong, and that's not the point. But the argument isn't that you should just heap abuse on Martinelli or change the narrative so the abuse happens on Martinelli. And people could be like, well, he's not doing that much, but narratives do get started in this country by that. You think about how, like, we talk about the Miles thing, but we talk about everything in this, in how things are driven by the media. Everyone in this country, a lot of the time, people don't have the privilege and the time to watch football in countries and in other things. If people ask me, like, what is your opinions on this player, they will take what I say with more into account because I watch these leagues. I watch the Bundesliga, I watch the Serie A all the time. I watch these players' 90s, I report on them, I make videos. So when people don't have the time to do it, I understand that they're going to take what other people say a little bit like they take it proper serious. So when Gary Neville is on the, and I don't take Gary Neville seriously, and I don't think a lot of Arsenal fans do genuinely, but there is a lot of older people, there's a lot of people that genuinely do take what he says to
I
a
think
point.
as well, sorry to cut you, when he first came in, he was so much more level-headed. His analysis was so good. Like, it was top-notch because he was giving people a completely different side of punditry. Like, we had never seen that kind of, almost like pulling back the curtain, revealing the secrets behind football. I think a lot of people looked at football as, a simple game. You pass a move, create space. And he was then talking about, oh, actually, there are kind of plays that are written out. And we're looking at why a player's playing out from the back and why the centre-backs are splitting and things like that. And over time, he's become more and more clickbaity because you think like something like that, at some point, Stig, you have hit the nail on the head here. Populism, not journalism. Like, it's any big company, like, for example, TNT, you're going to have someone who is running that show and will be going, no, cut them, go to someone else say something, like, we can't go along that road. But instead, they're adding fuel to the fire. They're encouraging it these days. Like, look at the thumbnails on Sky Sports now, where you got Jamie Carragher doing the crazy the thumbnail faces and stuff. It's mad, but unfortunately, it's the world we live in. I am going to quickly give a shout out to Dickie Mint. Hated, adored, never ignored. Glory, glory. Hope you're well, mate. I hope you're all good in the storms. This is a friend of mine. Unfortunately, friends. He is he has some afflictions like supporting Man United. Let's move on. So let's go back to.
I do want to end it like just quickly, like with with Gary. Like, the thing is like the more frustrating.
Gary, Gaz.
The more frustrating part of it is that we know that they're not like this. We know they're not this stupid.
Yeah.
We know that, like, it's the same. Jamie Carragher is a great example. Jamie Carragher, analyst, when he wants to be, is really good. When he wants to be, but it just comes down to, give or take. And I sometimes still think that, I don't know if it's the fact they were former footballers, but they do get really, like, I get that. I just think genuinely a lot of people are very invested in football and get very passionate. But I've kind of been learned and taught when, like, I was going to be, when I want to be a professional in my job, and I want to be a professional about how I conduct myself, at least if I was on TV and doing these things, like that's kind of how I've been brought up and like learned how to be. So I would like to feel like I have a second channel where I make analyze videos about City players, and I've watched City's game, and Chelsea players. I did a 25-minute video about Liam Rosenior joining Chelsea. Full tactical breakdown. It's one of my biggest videos I've done this like in a while. And I'm like,
I'm sorry to hear that, mate.
Well, it's funny. Like, I've actually like I've got like quite a lot of connections with Liam Rosendale, which is kind of funny, but that's why I like him so much. But
we'll talk about that later. All right.
But like with like stuff like that, I can talk in them videos and I'm like, I'm an Arsenal fan, but objectively I'm not negative. Like I look at I looked at the way that he played. I was talking about how it fits in with Chelsea, positives and negatives, but I still like putting a positive light on it. I always do with all my content. I prefer to be more positive than negative, genuinely. And like I can take my subjective bias away from that situation and still talk about something that maybe a lot of Arsenal fans won't care about or something like that. And it's the same with how I see these things. The reason why I brought the whole thing up and the reason why I was so passionate about it is because when it happened, I was just like, oh, he's an idiot, whatever. And then I saw a really, really good post by a Liverpool podcast where they basically just said like it comes off like a Twitter warrior in a sense that he's just like, and he's got no sense of the reality of the situation. And I thought, like, if Liverpool fans are saying this, and I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans be very intelligent about the Martinez situation and be like, oh, he's apologized, like, we'll move on. And it's funny, like, if they're the ones, I know a lot of them aren't, and they're going to hold boost. I mean, some people blame Martinelli for the injury now, which is crazy to me. But, like, with Slot coming out and being very, very sensible about it, with a lot of the Liverpool sensible YouTube people being very sensible about it, I'm looking at them and I'm like, they're the people that have more of a reason to be annoyed, you know? Like, they're the people that have more than Gary Neville, like, realistically. Like, and would Gary Neville feel the same way if it was if it wasn't Arsenal or Liverpool or United? Was it United? Probably not. And like, you can't. Well, maybe you could, or maybe you won't. You don't know. But I just hate like that sort of stuff. Like, everything has to be objective, I think, to an extent. I like him. He's a United fan. We all know that. I get that he's going to lean to United. Why he's on the Arsenal games anyway? I turned the Arsenal and Liverpool game on and was like, why is Gary Neville on another Arsenal game? He's on the Manchester United games all the time, you know, because he's a United fan. Why don't we get any Arsenal support, any Arsenal guys that are going to be at least fair? Because that commentator that we had against the Bournemouth, which is the Championship commentator, and I saw an Ipswich fan, I spoke to an Ipswich fan about this because I said to my dad a year ago, I went, if you ever watch the Championship, there's this one guy that's like really negative. I said to him, he's a co-commentator. He's not a play-by-play. He's the analytical guy. And I was like, he's so negative. I don't know who he is. And then I spoke to an Ipswich fan and he was like, oh, is it this guy? And I was like, yeah, it was. And he was like, yeah, no, everyone in the Championship hates this guy. He is just so negative. Like, every time I've watched Championship games, he has been there and he's been negative. And I was like, I just think like it's so weird to me that the TNT and all these programs that get Arsenal on, surely you know that most people watching the Arsenal game are mostly going to be Arsenal fans. If it's Arsenal and Bournemouth. So surely to cater to that audience, you would not, okay, Gary Neville sometimes is fair enough, but surely you would want to get people that not only do we like, but that are going to be subjective. They don't have to be biased towards Arsenal, but at least look at things fairly, but they never do. So I don't know.
No.
Like, commentary's a joke at the moment. I will say, I think commentary right now in the UK is the worst it's ever been. So hopefully we get some new good people too.
And unfortunately, when I look at ex-Arsenal players who have gone into commentary, they're pretty dire as well.
Yeah,
like
Lee Dixon is awful.
I
man.
love Martin Keown, but it's like paint drying sometimes listening to him. Lee Dixon comes on, and sometimes Lee Dixon like almost goes like the other way. I think he's like trying to compensate, like, I'm not. I know I'm not Arsenal. You know, it doesn't work sometimes. But just get some like actual commentators on. Like that would be great. Just people who have got no affinity to any Premier League clubs, and just do that. That would be quite nice.
The problem is, isn't it? It's like the thing is, I always say this with like entertainment and especially speaking about football and the internet. There's like two ways about it. There's a tactical way or like a very like statistical, analytical knowledge way, and there's also a very entertaining way. And it's the same with YouTube as well. Like, some people merge the two really well, and they're like usually the best creators. But there's people that you don't go for tactical like knowledge, like i.e. Mark Goldbridge, but he's entertaining, so everyone cares. Like Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher are insanely entertaining. I do think it is dwindling a bit. I do think, especially sometimes people are getting a little sick of them being on TV all the time, and it has been the same for a very long time. And I've seen a lot of people say that, but I do think they are still broadly very entertaining. And I know they can be analytical, but there just needs to be some sense and some respect there for some of the players that they just don't seem to have. Because it's all like, oh, we'll criticize them on TV, and then you'll go like you'll go on a podcast with them and you'll be lovey-dovey with them. And it's like, you know, I'm critical of some players outside of Arsenal, but I'm not going to go meet them for a drink. So it comes off way more genuine than what they say. And I don't. That's another.
I am waiting to see that Wackles and McGinn pint.
How did you know? That's like one of my most hated players is McGinn.
I know. That's like, and just you two sat down having a pint. That would be such good viewing. Peter Drury. Yeah, to be fair, Peter Drury. Like, and we used to have so many commentators over the years who just, like, I never knew who they supported. I had no idea what their tribal side was. But it is what it is. Oh,
if
God. Look at this for a comment. Cannot wait for Fletch to be no more.
Oh, my God. Like, Ali McCoy, like, I've been critical of Ali McCoy for years, and this is not even like an Arsenal thing. He says the same 6 words, and he says it for every single thing ever that happens in the entire universe. If a guy makes a 6-yard pass, fantastic, sublime, and then like every single time, I'm like, oh my God! When you've watched so much, I watch, bear in mind, like 7, 8, 9, 10 games a week. I'd say probably at 10 games a week on average.
Scottish Cardi B.
When you watch so much football like me, you get so bored of it. And I watched the Super Cup of Real Madrid and Barca. They had I think it was Jonathan Woodgate on there and another commentator. I don't know if anyone's seen the commentary to the winning goal. They're talking about, I don't know, some bird in the sky. So they're completely not even talking about the game. And I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, oh, there's a goal. Same with the red card that Man United got against Brighton on the weekend in the FA Cup. They're talking about like their stats. They're like, what's that stat again? And they're looking at stats. And I'm like, guys, can we talk about the game? Can we talk about the game as well? You're there. And I'm like, oh my God, I just think it's in the mud. And like some of these people, I do think objectively have their own followers. Like Ali McCoy, I'm critical of Ali McCoy because I don't like him specifically, but I know people that like him, so it's fair, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna it's the same we talk about Peter Drury. People don't like him because he's a bit poetic, and I think people think he's not as genuine, and that's been a complaint that he's had as well. But I still would get him on games because it's like whatever, like it's fine. But sometimes when every single the biggest thing, if commentary teams are not even looking at the game, that is the worst. That is just bad commentary. I can't even lie. Like at least Gary Neville's entertaining, I guess. I'll take that over that. It's just like
surely at this point though, do you remember they used to have the what was it, like not like fan zone, but like the fans talking there for commentary? Like I'm not suggesting we have that, but I don't understand why at this day and age we don't have the option to choose commentary. You know, like you do used to on FIFA. Just you could have someone like a Neville and Carragher, like who are basically going at each other and laughing at each other and shouting at each other's faces when there's a goal or wherever it may be, and then have like someone who's like a completely different type of personality, like a different mold. I quite like sometimes listening to the actual Arsenal.com commentary. They're really good, and they're not actually Arsenal biased a lot of the time. But they make it known, like, you know, they're on Arsenal.com, so they are going to be slightly Arsenal biased. But they never come across that way. I actually think, so big up James B. So when he used to be on the watch-alongs with AFTV, so good, understood how to address things, and would always be talking about the game and around the game. But then on top of that, he's actually got to go for the comments live. Like, I think he would be a fantastic commentator. I think someone like James Alcott, I think he would be brilliant. Like, we need more people like that. Hopefully, like the mainstream side starts going, actually, we need to change again.
It's insanely hard to get in commentary. Insanely hard. Like, really I think like obviously this isn't like it doesn't matter at the end of the day too much, but this comes across like I am someone that will watch highlight packages of every single top 5 league every single day, every single weekend. I watch every single game. I watch them all back on highlights, and I watch every single commentary piece I can get. So I go on all the websites to listen to see if I can hear different commentary. Like with the Arsenal games, for instance, I not only watch the if we're on Sky, I watch the Sky one, then I'll get on a website, I'll watch the American commentary, then I'll watch like different English commentaries, then I'll watch the Arsenal.com commentary, and then I watch like the match of the day commentary. I literally, because to me it matters a lot. It matters about the feeling of the moment in the game, and also I want to be a journalist and talk about this sort of stuff. So like that's something obviously like I always learn and stuff. I used to commentate on a Call of Duty league, like Rec League in the UK when I was doing my uni work placement, and like I learned a lot there to commentate, and it was quite fun. But like I don't know,
I bet that was actually. I bet that's well good.
It was tough. Like the series are like 5 hours long sometimes, but you know, I got through it and stuff like that, and that's actually how I first started like talking like in like streaming and stuff. There was like 200 people in the stream. I'd talk in that, and then that's how I started, and then made videos. And I'm not also
and now
like
look where you are.
But it just takes time. Like it just takes time to develop. I feel like with Gary Neville when he's on, he's been doing it for years now, and like he isn't the play-by-play. He is just the other guy. So ultimately that is an easier job. Like I've always said that I'd rather do that job because it is just like, oh, what happened in this goal? Yeah. So they crossed the ball and he headed it. It's like whatever. Like fair enough. That's where you need your vibes guy. Like. But like I don't know, like it is hard. Like it is not easy to talk in front of a camera all the time. Like I talk, like if anyone watches my old videos, they're awful to now. But it is just more like I expect better, especially from stuff like Sky, where like if you haven't got a stick, we're paying a lot of money for this stuff. Like people pay a lot of money, and that's why people are critical when they get YouTubers on there. Like I think that sometimes the hate is not warranted. But I get it. They pay money for their TV. I don't know how many people on like 12 p.m. on a Thursday are really sitting there watching Sky Sports, to be honest. But like, I can see why people are annoyed to an extent. So yeah, it's like give or take. But that's my journalism rant that I have to get through every year.
mate, we've hit it on the first podcast back. I love that. All right, let's quick roundup of these fixtures then. I'm going Forest 3 points. I have a feeling we could. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think we can do it. You?
I'm going to say that we're going to win all these games. Like I think that we should win these games. I don't think that's that surprise. We are like Arsenal. Like we're the top of the Prem, we're top of the Champions League. We're one of the best teams in Europe, arguably the best this season, even though we haven't been brilliant at it. Even though like. I definitely don't think in my like heart that we're going to win all these games or on my head. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. And I do think Leeds away, Forest away is tough. Like the away games are always going to be tough. Something I spoke about a lot, but I'm going to go into it being like, we could get points. If we're going to draw any of them, I actually think Leeds is likely, but then I never know how we're going to play against like a United at home. We are weird in games like that, genuinely. And last year we beat them from 2 corners. So unless we just do that again, but obviously I haven't seen Carrick manage at United. It'll be his first game tomorrow. So I will have to see how they play to kind of understand what's going on a bit more.
I think for me, it's the 3 in the middle. United, because it's just United, but we're at home and our form is incredible at home. Leeds, no one likes to go to Leeds. Even if you go into Leeds Festival, it's a bit like tricky. And then Sunderland, I think Sunderland are a very good team, but I do think we can win all of them. I just have a feeling we'll probably draw one game, like one out of those 3. Like Brentford is away, but I have no doubt we can win that game.
We've got a good
Nottingham
record
Forest
against
away.
Brentford. I'm not worried about Sunderland. I know that they're good, but like I've watched a lot of Sunderland games and they have been relatively lucky. And also, I've watched them play away at United and City, and they were awful. So I'm just like, if they try and sit in a block and we get lots of pressure, which we should be able to do, then I actually think we're a really good counter for them. And I also think away against Sunderland, we played incredible. I think it's one of our better games this season, even though we didn't win. I think we were really good in that game, and that was without half of the players. We didn't even have a striker in that game. So, like, I think. I do think tomorrow's game is worrying. Obviously, it will be less worrying depending on the result that United and City play before us. But Carrick's first game in charge, like he's got to come in, and they've got to manage against City, and then they've got us next week. It's not really the most fun start in the world. Like it's a tough time. I do think United always play better against City. They just do generally. And
Yeah, they do.
I don't even think United have been that bad this season, widely at home. I just
I
think
think they've got Mbeumo back, haven't they? And
yeah, and Buemo's back. I guess it's
City have now got Gahey, and will he be ready for that game? I don't know. Semenyo will.
Gay still won't be done for 2 days, apparently. I think Ahmed might be back because Ivory Coast are out, so I would assume he would be back as well.
Oh, okay.
So they're getting some players back in this way, but also I just think United generally are actually okay. But they sacked them, they got rid of their manager when they were playing okay. So
yeah,
just United things really.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Big up Digi Scott, like 6:30 in the morning, starting to flag and need a shower. That's mental, isn't it? Big up from China. And Stig saying all wins, 3 of them proper hard fought. Yeah, I think it's going to be like that. I think we're just going to carry on this run of, we just get it done. And that's what we need to do at the end of the day. We just got to get it done. I reckon for us, so what am I saying? 3, 6. Yeah, 13 points, I reckon, out of those 5 for us. City they've got to drop points out of, because they got United, who are always going to play better, and it's at Old Trafford. Tottenham always do well against them. They've even done that with Thomas Frank already.
I don't know why. I don't know how, but they do.
And then Liverpool, although I do think, is that Anfield? I have a feeling they might roll over Liverpool.
Ekatike will be back by then. I don't think anyone's rolling over Liverpool at Anfield. I know some teams have gone there and got good results, and Liverpool. The thing is, I just think I thought this when we played Liverpool. Liverpool like teams that go long. No, don't like teams that go long against them because they just can't run back enough and they don't have and we're just not that team at the moment. With Havertz, we would be, but we just aren't. So I just really felt when we were playing them, I was like, they are just a bit of a hard counter for us in a weird way. I do think City can give them more threat, but the big thing about this is City. Okay, yeah, they beat Newcastle in the week. They were quite good in that game. They obviously 10-1 Exeter, even though they played a very strong side for some reason. Semenyo's obviously come in. He scored twice and got an assist in 2 games. But the big issue with City is I want to go into a bit into the Gueye thing. I think it's so funny. I've been speaking to a lot of City people, and I'm very, very informed of what's going on. And I think it's hilarious the problems that they're having. It kind of gives me it kind of reminds me of us a little bit.
Okay, right. Right. So let's go on to that in a sec. Hang on. So Nick King. Hope you're well, mate. Got the internet back, mate. And I got the hoodie. Yes, I did get the hoodie. One thing for sure is that we won't make it easy for ourselves. Yeah, 100%. It's just so Arsenal, isn't it? I reckon, 13 points for us. I'm going to go with, what did I put in a loss? I reckon 10 points for them. I genuinely do. I think.
I hope they get.
And so out of that, we'd pick up 3 points more, which leads on to this. If we have a 9-point lead after the next 5 Premier League games, do you think that's one hand on the title?
How many games is that in the league? 25? How many you played? 21? Yeah, 26 it would be. So, 9 points with 12 games left. We still have to play them though, which is a worry, but it's just about the consistency.
I think it is. As long as we don't have another injury crisis.
That is true. But they currently do have one.
Yeah.
And they will get
having these blights of injuries all in one location. That's the problem. It's not the amount of injuries. It's the fact that they just seem to happen in one location. It's driving me nuts. But
it's quite a weird thing because I think that my thinking going into where we are now is where it's changed a little bit because you think that Arsenal win, you have to win every game. But realistically, like we just don't. We just need to do better than them. We just need to match them. We'll do better than them. If we win 4 out of these 5 games, let's say, and we lose 1, everyone will be up in arms. But I won't care if City lose 3 in that time. Like I know people would be like, well, you could be more in head, but yeah, like we could do anything. Like we could have won the league 2 years ago, but we didn't. Like so, like I think that like. I genuinely like think we just need to stay in front of City, and they have some. I know from an Arsenal perspective, we think about our problems and how we play, which is fair. But as someone who's like been talking to a lot of City people, I've been doing a lot of City work. I've been making I made like 5 City videos on my second channel over the last like 3 weeks. I've been watching a lot of their games. I think they have some really, really evident problems, and I don't think that their new signings are going to be like, oh yeah, they're great now. Like they're still going to struggle. So, like, just keeping ahead of them is the main thing. If we do really well, and or if we just keep the pace up, and then maybe like drop points in a couple of moments, and they drop points loads, then it's fine. Like it's like tomorrow, I'll be nervous more going into the game if City obviously win against United, but hopefully United can do something for us. Please.
How is that happening, by the way? I think we've only had 1 game in, last few months where we've played first. They seem to always be playing in front of us. It's so frustrating. Like, I don't.
Well, we should be playing on Sunday. I don't know why we're not why did they not move us to Sunday and move the Inter game to Wednesday? I cannot believe we're playing Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and 4 away games. We've had to travel to like Portsmouth. And
I think we're the first team in footballing history to have that kind of schedule.
It's insane. Like I just cannot believe we've been playing so many. And people are like, oh, I'm expecting the effort is going to be down for tomorrow. Like I expect, like we talk about Zubimendi, he looks like way worse when he's tired. He's going to be tired. Like, but then he can't play against Inter as well. Like Arteta's going to have to pick and choose who he wants to play tomorrow, and then Inter, because I care more about tomorrow's game than I do the Inter game. Just fundamentally, and I think the Premier League matters more at the moment. Like we're going to get top 8, we're probably going to get top 2 guaranteed. I don't really care. Like, oh, we lose to Inter, we beat Kairat. Oh wow, so you didn't win every game. I don't care. That's not.
It's about progressing in the Champions League.
That's not how you win trophies. Not winning every game. You have to pick and choose sometimes, which is something Man City are very, very good at doing. They pick and choose when they want to be good or not. So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
And bearing in mind that we've got Kairat, we've got Wigan, and then Chelsea at home with a 1-0 aggregate lead. I mean, that's so true that we can play, and we've got the squad to do it. Hopefully, that we can play these other teams. We don't have to play that known 11. But the question is, are the Spurs fans going to cheer for City again at their place? We'll wait and see. There was some big news, and I think we should probably cover it real quick. I don't have too much to say, but Per Mertesacker is stepping away. I think he's done a really good job. There's still room for improvement. There will always be room for improvement. But God, does Hale End look better than it did before he stepped in? Like, we've had players in the past, like say Jack Wilshere, but we haven't been churning them out like this. And it's got to be kept in mind as well. That's on top of the 2 lads going over to Man United. The fact we've had Eddie Nketiah go through and leave, Balogun go through and leave, Emile Smith-Rowe as well. We have done amazingly well. Like, just look at those 4 players. Bukayo Saka, the first one to come through, break through as a left back, ends up as our right winger, and most certainly are going to be our highest paid player at the club. Lewis Skelly and Ethan Winery coming through, to the youngest players ever to play Premier League and Champions League football. And then Max Dowman now, like, what a talent he is. And then we've had others, like Marley Salmon. We've had, what's the striker called that's played this year, whose name is eluding me? 17-year-old. What's he called? Played FA Cup for us. Anus, yes, thank you. Like, it's looking great. The only thing we've got to start doing is, working out sooner contracts so hopefully we can keep them and make some money for them and not lose them before that professional contract. But it's easier said than done when you're a team as big as Arsenal are now, doing as well as we are, because players are going to look and go, where's the pathway now? Like, how do I get, when you're looking at Max Dowman, thank you. Yeah, it is Harriman and News. Look at Max Dowman, and 15 years old, gets into the squad, and some people will be looking going, well, if he can, I can. But others are going to look and go, well, how on earth am I going to get past him when he's not even starting for the club? He's not even, second choice or third choice. It's amazing. Like, do you think the next person has got have they got big shoes to fill? No pun intended.
Yeah, like I don't really know like the ins and outs of the head of youth development role really like that well. I'm like he's done well. I love Per. I think he's a very good talker. Like it's going to be a bit of a miss, but like change is good at the end of the day. I think that I want to see the loans improve a lot more. We do seem like even now we're trying to loan more. It does seem like the recruitment to the youth team is going a bit more. And with that combined, I think that kind of makes sense to bring someone new in. Maybe they were like, okay, we brought Barter in. We've got kind of a new approach. We brought that new scout in. We're buying a lot more younger players like the Quintero brothers. We've been linked to the guy from Blackburn. We bought the guy from Ireland.
So there's
been all these sort of like these small things that are happening to keep leveling up. And then obviously like Per's been here for a very long time. He's been here for 8 years in terms of his role. But I do think that like it's very good. Like I don't think I don't know what the difference is between a good head of youth development is and a bad one, if you know what I mean. Like I don't know how much involvement he has on everything. Like, because we have a loan manager, we have people that do the contracts for the younger players. Like, I know that he's the guy that oversees that all, but how much does he do, like, in terms of the nitty gritty of like, oh, I'm sending you here, or I'm doing this, or we should buy this youngster? Like, I don't know what that role entails. I just don't. I just not really informed. So I couldn't tell you if this is going to make much. Like, I think that this is more of an idea that the club are changing to this new approach, which we see with youngsters. And like whoever comes in, definitely got a big job to fill. We're a massive club. That we are trying to be on the same level academy-wise as a Chelsea, as a Man City, I'd say specifically. So if we get someone who's got that experience, fair enough. But I couldn't tell you who Man City or Chelsea's head of youth development is. I couldn't tell you who that was.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's what you think, but we all knew it was Per because obviously Per's former player, so kind of like.
Do you think that is like, how high would you rate the importance of it being someone linked to the club previously? Because I quite like. I don't want the club full of ex-players, but at the same time, I do feel that you need certain people, certain personalities around. Like, it was really nice having Jack Wilshere around. A lot of not just the players really liked him, but the families really appreciated him being around. I know, like, Max Dowman's family were really disappointed when he was leaving. Like, do you think there's like that much importance getting someone like that in? Like, I would love someone like Santi around, but I feel that Santi would be more of a coach at the club rather than youth development for me. But yeah, do you think that's important, or is it just right man for the job?
I mean, I almost don't like. I think in specifically at Arsenal is a different conversation to the head of youth development. Like, I don't know many head of youth developments that are former footballers. I think it's a very specific role, which I think more and more it's the same. I've seen a lot of people talking about this recently on the internet about how like being a manager, you've almost got less power at these clubs, and it is more down to the director of football, which is a big part of the sackings of Amarin and Maresca at their respective clubs. And I think a lot of younger people who maybe didn't play professional football will look more to try and get into that into that recruitment role of like director of football as in senior recruitment. And I'm sure that there's like I don't even know how you become a head of youth development. I don't personally know what the area is, and I don't even know when we hired Per. I was like, this is so weird to me. Like, how did Per, like, I get that Per's always been one that looks after the younger guys, but how did he know he wanted to oversee an operations of the head of youth development at Arsenal? That's such a weird job. Like, I don't think there's many like former players that have that specific job. I remember on FM, if you ever played FM, back in the day, he was our head of youth development. If Arteta gets sacked, Per Mertesacker became interim manager because he's like a former player. But it's like, why would you make your head of youth development your interim manager? It's so weird. Like, so I don't know. I just think get anyone. I think as long as someone's I'm not someone that is necessarily big on getting former people in the club. I like it. I always think it's definitely benefits to it. I think Jack Wilshere is a guy that has a very unique experience that is just generally going to help people. And I'm willing. I like to see Jack learn as a coach under Arsenal and give him that help, because I think he deserves it in an extent. But I don't know. I always think if you're professional enough, if you know what you're doing, then it's fine. Like, you can be put into, for people that are good at their job and that professionals get put in situations and then they thrive in them. So, and I think you'll see that more with the board that we're seeing. Like McKelly is obviously our new chief scout. Obviously, Bert has come in he was a former lawyer and now he's the director of football. Like, he's not Edu, and even hiring Edu at the time was a bit weird because he was a former player, and not going for because you don't see other clubs do that really that much. So I find it quite interesting, and I feel like the club is moving into a more direction where we've got people that maybe weren't at the club before. But as long as you keep that core identity, and the main thing is that people that get along with each other, having the same sort of people, the staplements in the team. Like, we lost Cuesta in the summer, which is a big part of the coaching team. And then we brought in Gabriel Heinz, who in many ways is like an opposite version of him, but you can see the player development side to it, of him being very similar to Cuesta in how determined, how unique he is at getting these talents up. And it seems, even though Heinz is a little passionate, you saw he's trying to fight people after the Bournemouth game. That's always going to happen. He's always been like that throughout his playing career and his managing career. Like, we know we're going to get that. But it's nice to have them differences. Like, we've got the Swinberg as well, who's he can get passionate. We saw an argument with Rice with the thing, but mostly he's the more calmer, chilled one. And then we've got the player development guy as well, who is up there as well. And there's a lot of other people that are involved in this who, it works in a big unit. Like, the head of youth development will be the main guy that probably oversees things, but putting him with a good loan manager, putting him with a good managers, good coaches around him, that's how you make it. So I don't know. It's a shame because I love Per, but he has been here for a very long time now. I don't know if he wants to go back to Germany. He has been in London. He's been in Arsenal for pretty much my for a very long time of my real life actual remembering I exist sort of thing, since I was 11 years old or whatever, 12 years old. He's been at Arsenal basically. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. So I think he's done a good job though, and a lot of the younger players have always spoke very highly of Per Mertesacker. So I think that's something we could take well. So he did a good job.
Yeah, 100%. But the reason everyone's come in tonight, can Arsenal win the quadruple? They can. Will they? No. Segment done. If you were a betting man, are we winning a trophy this season?
I'd hope so.
Okay, cool. Right answer. I think that the odds are this season that we will win a trophy. I find it's mental that every season a season starts and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, you have to win it." That at the end of the day, for us in Britain, so playing in the Premier League, you have the chance to win 4 trophies. You're then going against, so many different teams throughout the League Cup and the FA Cup and all the different traveling and all the different types of teams you're playing. Premier League, the quality is so high. Look at teams now going away and the away league. Teams find it so difficult to get wins away now. It's such a hard trophy to win. Bearing in mind when you're, going against, isn't it funny how the narrative, I think Alex put out something about everyone's expecting or putting the pressure on Arsenal to win, but no one's doing the same for City. Whereas you look at the amount they spend year in, year out. And then the manager they've got, the players that they've got, no one's putting that pressure on them. So there's that. Champions League, we've never won it. We've made it to the final. We've made, quite a few semi-finals. But this year we have been picked as favourites for it. I think the chances are we've got to win one. The question is which one or how many. So, come on, let's get a quick prediction right now. So this is 16th of January.
Well,
Are we winning the Premier League? Come on.
I never do quick predictions because everything I say.
No, we're doing quick predictions. That's what that's the segment.
Yeah, but at the start, for the last 3 years, I have done prediction videos and said we'd win the league. So me saying that is not a surprise or a difference. I've always kept that belief.
You've heard it first. We are winning the league.
And a lot of it is belief more than like the thing. The what I've said all season. I spoke earlier to my dad about this, and I said that I want us to win the league more than anything. The other competitions are give or take. I want to win the league. And I get that a lot of older Arsenal fans have seen them win the Premier League. So I can completely understand if you and other people would rather us win that. Not rather, but would really, really want that Champions League because we've not seen it and we're not won a European trophy. I get that. And obviously I want to win Champions League loads. I just have not seen us ever win a Premier League title. So I just personally want to see it. I do think that the biggest problem of us winning the league is not the players, it's not the manager. It's all about anxiety and PTSD. And we said this earlier about the PTSD and sometimes that Arsenal fans get, which is what is making people so worried about that second leg in the League Cup. Not because we won 3-2 at Chelsea, it's because we could have won more and we're worried about, are we going to get over the line? And it's that worry that is the anxiety that is happening. And it's been very well reported that in the stadium, you can see the anxiety that is sometimes on the players by the fans and vice versa. And you see it. I see it with the videos I make and the content I do, that I'm talking about little details about specific things, but everyone is on edge. We have played over 30 something games this season. We've lost twice by a 30-yard free kick and a last-minute goal by Aston Villa. It's the only 2 losses we've got. And objectively, and you look at that and you look at the draws we've got this year, that is really, really good. You look at the actual results, they have been good. I get there's always that worry that, like, well, we haven't played brilliant this day. We need to step it up next game because if we keep playing like that, we won't win. I'm very much for that. I will talk about it all the time. But I do think everyone is just so on edge. I think the players are on edge in these big games. I think against Liverpool, there was broadly a bit of fatigue in there, but I think a lot of it was players were scared. I think our team was scared, and I don't think our team wanted to do enough on the ball because we were doing the easy options. And I think sometimes, unless they get that real kick, that real drive, we see that a lot. Against Villa in the first half, I saw the same thing. And then in the second half, we score a corner. It's almost like weight lifted off their shoulders and they go and run at them. And we just absolutely dominate it, which we know we can do to anyone at the Emirates. And I think the longer the season goes on, the longer the longer the games matter more and more and more, this is going to be a factor. Arsenal are an emotional, we're not an emotional club all the time, but I think given we've come second 3 years in a row, the fans and the players are going to be emotional more than ever because it almost feels like they have to win it this year, which is just going to make sense. That is obviously how it's going to be. And that is the biggest worry I have. Now, I have always said that I don't care about the Carabao Cup, and I still to this day don't care too much about that competition. I don't think it should exist. However, when we've got to the semi-final, I said this last year.
Sorry, I love how you glossed over that. I don't think it should exist.
But last year when we were in the semis against Newcastle, I said, right, now we're in the semis, we have to try and win it because there's no point of playing to the semis and going to pens against Palace and, go scraping past Brighton or whatever just to lose. In my opinion, if you're going to go out of the cup, go out and not in the Champions League, but in domestic. I always say if you're going to go out in the first round, it's the best time so you don't have to play the 400 million games about it. So when I look at that, I do think that's an important part. But now we've got an advantage in the second leg. I want us to go on, obviously, to win this. Do I overly care? No. But I do think that and this is a point that a lot of people, very intelligent people, have made that I didn't really consider too much. But I do agree that psychologically, we talk about how Arsenal have a lot of anxiety. Maybe they do just need to win with this group, no matter what. And maybe if they win the Carabao Cup, or at least get to the final and have a good experience, well, hopefully win, but at least just have the experience of playing at Wembley with this team. Maybe that will be enough psychologically to get you past that final line. I've been speaking to City fans, and some City fans have been telling me that they always do look a little bit shaky around January, December time. Not shaky, but they're not as best as they could be. And then when they won that Carabao Cup a couple of years that they did, that just kind of like reinvented the team. They kind of thought and believed that they could go on to win the league. And I do obviously think if we
Yeah.
play City in the final, that's a big psychological game for both teams. But I think if Arsenal win a game like that, I genuinely think that's more important to the factor to go on to win the league than it is maybe the trophy itself. So I want to win the league. I think we definitely can win the league. And I think the league is the best idea to kind of show who actually the best team in the country is, rather than cup competitions. I will never sit there and predict fully, because cup competitions are way more variant. There's
So
way
unpredictable.
especially the Champions League out of any of these three specifically. Like, we could probably win the FA Cup and Carabao, and I could probably predict that before the season starts or whatever, or we need to do better in them. But the Champions League, we never know what's going to happen. Like, you just never know. I think we're one of the best teams in Europe. I think that not many teams can beat us, but on their day, these teams have elite talent and people do just turn up on their day. We've seen it before. So I don't know, like, I would say like the league is the one that I would look the most at. The league is the one I want the most. But considering we're so close to the Carabao Cup, I really do think that that could be a great thing. And if I know that if we won the double of the Carabao Cup and the Prem, some Arsenal fans would be like, we could have got that, we could have won that. I would just be happy that we've won some trophies so we can kick on. And the whole point of this season isn't to win trophies and then be like, well, we've won the Prem, guys, let's give it up now. 20 years it took us. The whole point of this season is to hopefully get our foot in the door and win a trophy, so then we can
springboard
kick on
to
and win more. And yeah, and that's the point. And that's what I'm looking for this season. If we win one trophy and it's the Prem or the Champions League, I'll still be happy, respectfully. And then next season push on. Like, that's what I'm kind of thinking. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's so
I love how you had to clarify that you're going to be happy if we win the Premier League or the Champions League.
Well, like, if we win
So
one
true.
trophy, I feel like people, even if it's just like the Prem, people might feel a bit like, and I get it, but like,
no, you can't be like 20 years, man. Like, it's crazy.
We were three,
and to
I
take,
was 3 years old.
yeah, to take anyone back to that point, especially going invincible, going unbeaten in the Premier League, and then to tell someone, by the way, you're not going to win this for another 20 years. Like, that would sound like insanity. And here we are. That's what's happened, and that's football. Unfortunately, it is quite cyclical. It comes round, you know. We saw it with Liverpool. United are going through it. It's not a given that you're going to continue winning trophies. So I would take either of those big trophies. Obviously, I mean, my prediction. I genuinely, the last few seasons, I haven't felt that we had enough to get there. Whether that is in terms of numbers of the squad, quality of the squad, experience with the squad, and then experience with the manager. Like, there were so many different reasons that I just don't think we can do it in terms of the Premier League or the Champions League. Like, I do feel that the FA Cup and the League Cup were gettable. They have been two that we just, quite simply, we have not done enough. We have not done good enough. But it does seem like, ironically, after Arteta won the FA Cup in his first season, he went for a slump, and now he seems to be much better at these cup competitions. I feel that like he probably hasn't had to like just focus on the Premier League, which he did previously. That is a big difference. And how to navigate Europe. Like, Europe is a whole different beast in itself. Yeah, I think we win the League Cup, and then I think we go on and win the Premier League. Like, I think we do well in the Champions League. I think we do all right in the FA Cup. Which is a real shame, because the FA Cup is our cup. That's like our trophy. That's our baby. But yeah, I think it'll be league.
If they keep giving us like
Premier League.
Championship and League One teams, who might make it to the final at this rate. But
yeah, you never know.
I think there's so much about it as well. Like, we have also, our history in the FA Cup the last couple of years is literally like City, Liverpool, United, round 3, round 4s, where we've absolutely packed him in and not been able to finish. And like, that has been the thing. And I blame that on Arteta? Not really. I think that's a lot. That's just like the team at the end of the day didn't turn up. We lost on pens to United. So it's like some of their ounces, I do feel like a bit bad for him. This year we finally got an easy tie. We bunned off the white kit, which we always lose in, and then we just played Portsmouth, and we weren't even that great against Portsmouth. We scored 3 corners, but like now we've got Wigan at home. Like it's what you take. I do find like, yeah, there's just so much difference about it all, and I feel like like the thing is with me though, saying that we're gonna win the league come with confidence it's not like hard for me or like different for me to say, because in 22 seasons ago, 23-24, we were by far that best team in that country. On all the stats, we were the best team. We played the best football. We thrashed everyone. We lost 1 game in 4 months. But every team, City obviously were incredible as well. And I don't want to they were very, very tight to us. I would say it was almost yin and yang of how close it was in terms of good play. But I do think we edged it. And I do think teams did definitely not try against City more. I know that for a fact. Aston Villa in a Wednesday just didn't even bother to play anyone hard. And they played us 4 days later and put their sweat team out. And because we know what Emery's like, Arsenal over everything. He's like a Tottenham fan. But I just think like when I look, I thought 2 years ago we were the best team in the country and we didn't win the league. And I'm like, I've just had enough of it. We are at the moment, we haven't even been that great this season. We're still the best team in this country. We are still like the 6 points doesn't flatten us. We deserve to be 6 points clear. Like, and it arguably could have been more, but then I guess like it's more variance and stuff. But yeah, to me, like it's just getting over the line. It's the hardest thing. We know the players are good enough to win. They just need to show it. And the Carabao Cup might be a really, really good way of showing that to us, I think.
I love this question. I do want to move on to our final segment, but Akhlaq Arsenal has put in biggest threat in each component. So in each comp, do you agree? Premier League City, Champions League Bayern, or PSG? Carabao is City, obviously, and then the FA City or Liverpool. I mean, Premier League has to be City anyway, doesn't it? Because they're the only team really that are going to give us a run.
Villa.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're looking off for one game, Villa, Newcastle, maybe. But in terms of like longevity, I guess City. Champions League, Bayern for me. I think although we absolutely dominated them. And when you talked earlier about when we need like basically a kick up the arse to get going, that second half performance against Bayern, when we went man to man, we just went at them. That was an unbelievable performance. One of the best performances I've seen in decades. It was that good because the quality of the opposition and what it meant and the control we had and the salty tears at the end from them. It was lovely. But if we put that kind of performance against anyone in the Champions League, we can beat them. It's the problem lies if we do have one of these lackluster halves in the Champions League, that can be it. And that's the problem.
It's about fitness, isn't it? Like, that's thing. Like, if we go man to man, you just have to run. And I don't know later on in the season if that's going to be easier to do. Like, but then like you should think the same problem should happen for most of these teams.
Like, who are the other teams in the Champions League? Because PSG are obviously up there, but Barca, I'm not.
PSG are awful. I really don't think PSG are that good this season. I think they won their Champions League and they're done. They got knocked out.
Do you think they'll do what, quarters?
I mean, it really depends on like who they get and like how the draw goes out, because like, I mean, respectfully, Villa got to the quarters last year, and like I know we at the time were saying that might be a tough game for Arsenal, but like like Villa got to the court, like Villa easily, like if some random teams like last year the other quarters as well, Dortmund got to the quarters because they played like I think they played Lille in the round before. Like respectfully, like Dortmund are not really that level. Dortmund got to the semis a few years ago, and I don't think they're at that level. Final, sorry, they got to the final. Fulkrug hit the post, and now he can't play football. Like these things do happen because of the draw. I think if I'm talking about like actual threats, Bayern are a real threat. They score an unreal amount of goals. They won 8-1 the other day. They've scored something like 66 league goals, and it's like 30 more than anyone else or something. It's like 20 more than anyone else. It's insane. They score so many goals. PSG are not good. They got knocked out of the French Cup by my boys Paris FC, who had an FM save with 1-0. So they're out of the French Cup. They won today to go top of the league, 1 point ahead of Lyon, who have got a game in hand. So they might not even win any trophy this year. Imagine PSG go from the treble Champions League winners to not winning anything. That'd be hilarious if Lyon win the league.
That would be mad, wouldn't it?
With Usain Edouard up front, former Celtic player and Crystal Palace. So like that I just don't. PSG really struggled without their fullbacks because they've been injured or AFCON or not been there. And Dembele's obviously been injured. He played really well today, scored a brace, but he hasn't been there fully. So I think that's struggled a lot. So I don't think PSG are a threat. Barca, attacking wise, are incredible. And I watched their game against Real Madrid the other day, and I was like, wow, there is a real lot of encouragement there. I love Rafinha. I think Rafinha is an incredible footballer. I think Robert Lewandowski's like super unk, and he helps all the kids around him. And I think he's still pretty good. Defensively, they're not amazing. They have actually improved a little bit defensively. They're really bad from corners, though. They're really bad defending corners, which is hilarious.
That sounds good to me.
Real Madrid, honestly, not a threat. Like obviously Real Madrid have individually the talent of, they're the biggest club in the world, in my opinion. They have the talent more than anyone else. But Arbeloa's come in. They shouldn't have got rid of Xabi Alonso. Under Xabi Alonso, I would have been like, yeah, this team's a threat, even though they had problems, because they've had problems. But Vinny threw his toys out the pram. Mbappe threw his toys out the pram, got rid of the manager, and now they got Arbeloa in, and they got knocked out of the cup by a second division team as well. So, and they also conceded 2 corners in it. So, like, I do think that like Real Madrid aren't really a threat. I do think they're like all the Real Madrid, Roman, I just maybe like they have that aura that gets them through games without playing well, but no. I do think Italian teams are weird because Italian teams are really, really, like, I watch Serie A all the time and I go, this league is so slow, like no one moves. But then when Italian teams play in the Champions League, they're weirdly quite good defensively, especially like Inter are a good team in the Champions League. Like they always perform. Napoli don't. Napoli are awful with it when they're amazing in the league, which is hilarious. Same with Milan. Same with, I mean, Atalanta beat Chelsea, but they've been awful.
Atalanta been right this season, but
I think that's their only win though, or 2. I don't think they're even in the top. Like I don't think they're doing that well in it. Last time I looked, actually, unless
they're 5th in the table.
Oh, okay, I was right. They did well last year, and I remember they drew away to Barca, which screwed them over, and they came 9th in the end in the standings.
Yeah.
So like these teams are decent. Like I do think they have a threat of like they're really good at absorbing pressure and countering. And I think like when you play against teams that are willing to not really, let's say, defend as much, I think they really do benefit of that. So Inter will go far, I would assume. Again, they've got to 2 Champions League finals in 3 years for a reason. Haven't won any. Got thrashed in the final last year. But I do think, and also Chivu, who's their manager. I've been speaking to a few Inter fans, and they've said that he's actually really good. So we'll watch it. When we play them on Tuesday, we'll see how good they are. So I think Inter and Bayern are the big threats. I think Liverpool are going to be a threat in the Champions League. Like they've got nothing else to play for. They've got nothing else to play for. Like I don't think Liverpool are bad. They beat Real Madrid. I know Real Madrid are like whatever, but like they beat Real Madrid earlier in the season.
I just think this season there's no like standout. I guess Bayern are, but like this is the one season where I'm not looking at. The Champions League used to be this thing of like, oh my gosh, like every team is unbelievable. Like you used to look at like the Juve team and they had, I don't know, Zidane and Davids and Deschamps and they had Trezeguet and Del Piero. And you'd look at like Real Madrid, they had like R9 and Raul and all these players, Barcelona with Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. Like, and now I look and I just go, no. I genuinely think we can win it, which I always used to think for Arsenal to win the Champions League, because it was always the kind of, I guess, the heritage clubs, if that makes sense. The clubs who had the European heritage that had gone and won it, they're usually the ones to win it because there's just this aura about it. But I look across the Champions League now, like we beat Real Madrid last season and destroyed them. And then we beat Bayern Munich this season, and I think they were so convincing. They had nothing for us. And for a team that are probably in Europe the most free-flowing attacking team alongside Bayern, alongside Barca, I'm not worried about any of them. Like, I'm genuinely not. I just think it'll just be luck of the draw, who we've got available, and if we can perform on the day, and fixtures, I think, as well. Like if we've got just a string of fixtures like we've got coming up, away fixtures, and that could be the difference between us winning the Champions League or not. But it's I just wouldn't put my money on it right now.
It's so random. Like the Champions League is always going to have a sense of individual quality, like can win you games. But we've seen it so much. Like the teams that do really well are very, very tactical teams. Like last year, barring Barcelona, who are tactical but play this more like really, really aggressive attacking football. The other three teams in the semis were us, PSG, and Inter, like three very, very tactical teams that work well to get space. And this is the funny thing. I bet Real Madrid last year should have had a wake-up call when they got thrashed by us, because we are a very tactical team when you look at it. And Real Madrid obviously aren't. They are a vibes team under Ancelotti. They tried to go tactical this year. It hasn't worked. Well, it was actually broadly quite fine, but they didn't like Xabi Alonso, so they kicked him out. And they're gonna go back to this whole system, but they're probably going to get thrashed if they get a vibes guy in again. Who, tell me who's a vibes guy? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I don't know. Like who's actually a vibe? Gareth Southgate? Like who's actually the options that's a vibes guy that isn't tactical at a high level? Like there's not many, but like even if they try and do that, they're probably just going to get thrashed by another tactical team. I also think Barca have this incredible high line, and I just don't think that consistently teams in the La Liga have the chance to exploit it. But if anyone watched the Real Madrid and Barca game from a couple of months ago at the Bernabeu, Real Madrid won 2-1. Real Madrid had like a 4xG and Barcelona had like 1 or something. They got absolutely nowhere near them. And Mbappe should have scored like a hat trick. And I'm like, in games like that, I just feel like in the Champions League, Barcelona are going to just really extend themselves. Like last year, there's no one can tell me that Barcelona's team and their quality and how they were playing should have lost to Inter Milan. But a 38-year-old centre-back scored in the last minute and then they lost. Like, and stuff like that comes down to like them running all the time, them just being super, super aggressive and not knowing how to defend. You're later on in the game, you've got 10 minutes left, you've got a 1-goal lead, you hold on to it like we would. I know people criticise it. Yeah, just chill, but they don't. And I just think that that's they have to adapt that if they're going to win the Champions League, because if not, they will have the same problems as they had last year.
Yeah.
But they are like that's the thing. I think Barca are just got so many. Like, I do think they have so many problems of how they play. But then I look at them compared to most European teams, and I'm like, their problems are actually quite a lot less than other teams. Like everyone else is a mess.
Yeah.
Like, Real Madrid are an absolute mess. All the Bundesliga teams are a mess. PSG are a mess this season a little bit. Like in the Italian teams are like. You just can't predict the Italian teams. They're so weird, like all the time. So I'm like, I don't know. This Champions League could be weird. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if someone like Liverpool ends up doing really well, like final or winning it, because they've got nothing else to look at.
That's so true. I wouldn't be surprised if they got semis. I'd go, yeah, what a surprise.
I think
they've got Anfield in their pocket as well. And European nights. They're one of those teams, aren't they? They just are.
They're good in Europe.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think outside bet, City, I genuinely think now they've got such a good, they're bringing in new players and Haaland, they've got
it's a great segue.
Wow. I mean, it could be a segue, mate, because they have brought in maybe for Pep's final dance in the Champions League, because they're not getting the league from us. Gyökeres and Zubimendi. Now, 2 players that have been linked to the club, one of which that we have talked quite, extensively about in Zubimendi coming to Arsenal, an Arsenal fan. Like for me, Zubimendi is the one I would have wanted out of the 2. Maybe you could argue that we needed, like at time of recording, Gyökeres more because of the injuries we've had and the fact, the 2-footedness, ability to play on both sides, ability to anticipate as well. Like he's got such I don't know what you'd call it, but his anticipation is just unbelievable. Ability to just jump, kind of like Ben White, I guess. But they've spent quite a bit of money, and I know that some people will be going, "Oh my God, the Mark Gyökeres transfer is such good business." But I think he is on quite a bit of money. Like I genuinely think that deal is a lot of money, which is why Arsenal kind of went, "Yeah, you know what? Just carry on, mate." Is it number one, is it really bad that we've actually let City almost have a free run at it, and we didn't feel that, say with Guéhi, we wanted to do the deal now, and we didn't want to stump up the money for Semenyo. I know you've previously said as well about Semenyo's age and the fact that we've got quite a few players in that age bracket, and maybe we should be looking for someone younger. But to finish off the pod, is it that bad about these players going? And is it going to make that much difference?
I don't think it's that. I don't even think it's bad at all. Like, I find it funny that, like, the emphasis is on Arsenal to do stuff. Like, I get that I wanted Guéhi as an option because of maybe we might need him for a few injuries, maybe. But, like, ultimately, we're looking at Mark Guéhi as a 6th, 7th, 8th defender option. And these teams are going to start him because of their injury problems, and Liverpool don't have a centre-back. So, like when I look at this stuff, I'm like, it isn't that deep to me. Like, it's just a player that would have been nice market opportunity. Whoop-de-doo. They are spending a reportedly £18 million a year gross on him, which is about 300k a week, which is insane, which is genuinely insane. That is... I've seen, and you know what's funny? I've made about 8 videos about Mark Guéhi in the last 4 weeks about Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. I've spoken about him a lot, and I've watched a lot of Mark Guéhi, more than 99% of footballers that we're ever going to get linked to, or anyone. And with Guéhi, the interesting thing, and also, by the way, if anyone goes on YouTube and sees that advert of him and that guy with the food stuff, I see it all the time. I'm like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I was like it's so annoying. Literally, I was watching a video. I made my video about him, and then I was watching it back, and the advert I got was him on the advert. And I was like, wait a minute, what's he doing there? I was like, I did a video about him. I was like, this is stupid. And then, so, I feel like my head's just confuzzled with him. But I mean, at the end of the day, I said this a lot of the time. Mark Guéhi is a very, very good centre-back. Arguably, one of the best in the Prem, I would say, top 10. He's not a world-class defender. He probably won't ever be a world-class defender. He won't be an elite defender. But that doesn't mean he's bad, and that doesn't mean I didn't want him. That is why I thought he'd be a great player. Is he on the same level as Gabriel and Saliba? No. And the people that are talking about this are like... so people know, but people keep talking about this on Twitter, being like, "Oh, he's going to get turned into an absolute beast under Pep." Well, we don't know if Pep's staying until 6 months' time. So, you think he's going to turn to a beast in 5 months? I just think he's a really, really good player. Great, would have been a great fit, but it's not that deep. He's on also, if he's on the 300k a week reported money, that is best in the world money. That would be, I'm imagining he's the most highest paid centre-back in the world. I can't imagine any centre-backs anywhere near that. And is he the best centre-back in the world? No. But Man City had to do that because they knew they weren't going to get him. They knew he wouldn't go to them.
Smells of desperation.
It is.
And that's what I mean about Pep's last dance. It almost... To me, so number one, the Semenyo deal, he is not a Pep winger. And I think it really does kind of almost push him into that transitional play. But you're now looking at they've gone for another player who is one of the highest output players in the Premier League. So I can kind of understand it. But it's that kind of thing of just get him, get it done. And the same with Mark Guéhi. It's just get it. I don't care how much money it is because I'm not going to be here, so I don't have to deal with the repercussions of this. I just need someone to get me over the line in my competitions, and I will leave. That's what it seems to me. It just doesn't. I get City have spent a lot of money, and we've talked about maybe the last 2 transfer windows they've had where we've kind of gone, really, that player, not too sure. But on the whole, over Pep's tenure at City, they have spent very wisely. Look at the big signings that they've had, the biggest players, the Yaya Tourés, the De Bruynes, the Agueros, all these players. They haven't been insane money. And all those other players like the Bernardo Silvas and stuff, they've just bought really well. Their recruitment has been incredible over the years. They've never been the team that have Liverpool broken the transfer record, same window, broken the transfer record. They haven't really done that. They've just spent a lot of money in consecutive windows. This seems a little bit out of character, and I'm not bothered because I look and think we can't do 300 grand a week on Mark Gahey because he is definitely not going to start above Saliba and Gabriel. And if he came in at that money, I would be then questioning what's happening with those two guys then next season. Like that, like to me, I would then be questioning, is that kind of telling us one's leaving or something? Like what's happening here? It would cripple us in future windows. I don't think right now us being 6 points ahead and looking comfortable and having Hincapié, Mosquera, Ben White, Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, all available to play as centre backs, let alone say like Miles Lewis-Skelly, etc. Like, I just don't think we have to get him. I think someone like a Jeremy Jackett makes much more sense for us personally, but I can understand people being annoyed. The Semenyo one, I would have loved him, but I'm hoping that it's either because we're looking at like someone like a Kenan Yildiz or someone in that mold maybe to come in, someone a bit younger or something, or maybe here we go. Maybe they're just going, you know what, Bournemouth, we're not going to come in for him because we want Krupi next season, and we're moving Jesus out, and we can't keep on taking players off you, so we're just going to take one. We're going to take Krupi, and that's the reason. And we're going to, I'm sure there's other reasons, but if we dropped almost 100 mil, 300 grand a week on one of those players, like I just don't. It's not right. And yeah,
I don't know
Nick,
where we're
you're
getting
so
this
right.
money.
You'd be our highest earner on that money.
We've just bought 8 players this summer. We sold literally no one for no money. Where did people think money grows on trees? You can't buy players for PSR and FFP, which has been a massive thing.
Yep.
Mark Guehi, I don't even care about the whole like breaking the wage structure and stuff. I care about the fact that you want to play a guy that I think is a top 10, top 15 centre back in the world, 300 grand a week. Like he's just not worth that. That's just a scam. Like football, I think this is something that fans don't get a lot, and a lot of people in the fan base sort of see a player and they're like, I want that player. But then when the money gets crazy, you've got to say no. That's the reason why Arsenal were competing at the top of the Premier League, and Manchester United have just sacked their manager and haven't done anything because they don't know what to say no in is. If a team goes up to them, and like in Burma was a great example, 45 mil, 50 mil, they went on all summer, and then eventually they were like, okay, we'll just pay the 65 mil for him. And like any other club that has that sort of self-respect or don't care that much would just be like, no, we're not paying 65 mil. He's not worth that much. Is he worth that much? No, like he's just not. And like, I've said this quite a lot that I don't think Semenyo's worth 65 mil. I don't think it's like way crazy compared to his value, but I don't think he's worth that amount of money. We also don't have the money. If Martinelli had left and then we could get him in, that could happen. But we're talking about hypotheticals here. Martinelli was never going to leave in January. He's a big part of the squad at the moment. He's going to be here till the end of the season. So who are we going to bring in? I also think the Mark Gahey things, it's just selfish. Like we don't even need a centre back. Like people talk about Jackett because he's a good youngster, but we just don't need one. I think it's much more likely we sign a fullback if we're going to sign any defender. Yeah. And like maybe a right back. So if we needed a 2-footed centre back, we've already got one. His name is Christian Mosquera. He's sitting there injured, but he'll be back in a week's time. Like he's going to be back by the end of Jan. Like so, it's like by the end of Jan, we've already got Waneri who can't get on the bench. We've got Calafiori out injured, Mosquera out injured, Max Dowman out injured. We've got such a full squad. We can't even bring Zinchenko back because we've got no room for him. They're like, oh, please take him. Forest are begging us. And we're like, well, we've got 25 players in our squad. He won't even get registered. We can't fit him in. So it's like, what's the point? Yeah. And like, where was Guehi going to fit in? Like, we just don't like, I only wanted a player in January to be a backup midfielder just in case Rice and Zubimendi get injured. But it seems like we want to get Buedi, and the likelihood is that's not possible to get in January, which means would you rather get a Mendoza, who, by the way, isn't even started since December? He's not started at all for Elche, other than a cup game when they played a second division side. He's not played one game from the start. So would you rather get a guy that's not starting for Elche, or wait and spend 25 mil more on Buedi in summer and maybe have a chance to get him? You just take that chance. That's what managing a team is. I think that people keep sitting here, and as Arsenal fans, we look at the negatives of City. Like we look at them and go, look how good they look. Semenyo's a goal scorer. Semenyo does this. Semenyo does that. Do people realise what's going on with their attack right now? We talk about Arsenal not rotating the team and not giving time for other players. And they've literally had they've got basically 6 attackers that they play every single game. They don't like Savio. He never plays. He's injured at the moment. Bob, they're trying to get kick out. They don't like him. So the only players that have basically played are like Foden, Linders, Doku, who was injured as well, Cherky. Now it's going to be Semenyo and Haaland. Haaland has played more minutes than any single Arsenal player this season, barring David Raya, which he's 30 minutes off of. In the game against Newcastle, they made him play 90 minutes right at the end of the game. He's pressing. In the Exeter game, he still played a half. Can anyone tell me what Haaland's done in the last 6 games? He has 1 penalty goal, 0 assists, 0 goals out of the box. He even has about 5 shots in that game. He's not even getting shots. He's literally ineffective. He has done nothing. And I've watched every single one of them City games, bear in mind, other than the Exeter one. I've watched all the other ones. And he's just not there. And I've spoken to City fans. There's a great YouTuber called Nobbins who's brilliant. He does City tactical videos, and I saw his stream he did after the Chelsea game when they drew, and he was talking about how Cherky, Foden, Haaland, Doku hadn't come back, I don't think, fully. That might be his first game back from injury, but now he's played a lot. These guys have played every single game. They're not rotating them. Cherky played it. I know Cherky was injured for 3 months, so you could argue the minutes aren't in his legs as much, but he's played every game recently. Foden has been running into the ground because they're making him do the centre mid role when he's got to run everywhere. And and we talk about that with Arsenal, about like how we're getting tired. Why are these teams not getting injuries? Well, Man City have got injuries now. Vardial is out for the rest of the season. Ruben Diaz is out for 8 weeks. Like, that's their main 2 centre-back starters out. Yep. Like, Rodri is back now, and great, everything Rodri's back. Nico Gonzalez has been injured, and now Rodri's had to play all the time. And Rodri might be great, it might make their team better, but they've got Allende, who they recalled from Watford and have shoved in, and Ake. I would imagine Gay comes in for Ake, because Ake is probably the worst one out of the 2, funnily enough. And this guy's come from Watford, and he looks good, but there should be a level to get at them. Their fullbacks as well, absolutely like knackered, especially like their left side. Nico O'Reilly's been struggling in recent weeks. Obviously, Nori is now back, I would imagine.
Screen time per day is more than 24 hours.
I mean, but like the thing is,
it probably is, because you're checking 2 screens. So yeah, technically,
I think
Semenyo,
I really do think like Semenyo will help them, and it's exactly what they needed. More importantly, just for legs. Like, that is why they needed him. He will help their legs. I think it'll be interesting if Haaland isn't going to play, if they play Semenyo up front. Then I think that's a smart thing to do. But let's not forget, Semenyo's played a huge amount of minutes this season. It's not like he's not also going to be knackered, especially with how aggressive.
And he's not used to playing Champions League football on top. So we've seen with Eze that we've had to manage minutes, because he's played more minutes this season for Arsenal than he's ever in his career for Palace at this current point. So Semenyo suddenly coming in and do it. It's not easy.
And I'm just looking at Premier League minutes here, but actually Semenyo is 30 minutes behind Haaland. He has played more minutes than any outfield Arsenal player this season as well. This season. And that's the thing, like, that's 2 players that they're going to be playing loads. That's not even talking about other competitions where we have rotated a lot more, because we are we can play Norgard, Wineri, Eze, Madueke, Jesus. We've been able to do that the last month, where we played Portsmouth and we changed 10 players in our team. And I saw people on Twitter, I saw some guy on the BBC report being like, oh, why Arsenal put a strong team out here? No, buddy, that's our backup team. That was 10 changes. Other than Gabriel, it's a complete backup team. And I was like, we haven't done that change. So so I think genuinely, like, Man City have so many problems. And I think that, Semenyo's going to help, Gay's going to help, but we should be fine. They've been awful the last 3 Premier League games. So they're tired. Yeah. They're tired. Give them rest.
Mate, I am hoping for like a absolute meltdown for injuries and stuff now. I didn't realise about the amount of minutes they're playing. That's nuts, really.
Haaland gets injured. They've got no other strikers. They're playing no one else up front. They've refused to play Marmoush there. They've refused to play Semenyo.
I just think like that Alvarez deal looks worse and worse now. Like, I just think it would. But then I guess like holding on to him is almost impossible. But what a brilliant squad player he was. My God. Mate. 2 hours, 35 minutes, a lot longer than we expected tonight. It's been wicked catching up with you, because, I mean, how many games did you say it was? 8 games?
8. 7 wins, 1 draw.
Games. That's nuts. Like, guys, if you have tuned in for the entire of this, thank you so much. If you tuned in just for 1 minute, thank you very much as well. Please make sure you like the video. It does really help it. Hit the hype if you haven't. Oh my God, Digi Scott really going for that shower now. Night. What time is it for you now? It's got to be like 7 o'clock in the morning, isn't it? God. Yeah, honestly, guys, it is a pleasure. I really do appreciate all the messages and stuff. I know some of you messaged me about the storms and things as well, so thank you so much. I will not be putting out a preview of the game tomorrow, but I will most likely be doing a review of the game. I have got my children on my own, so I'm hoping I can get the little one to sleep and then quickly get a video out. But if not, we will obviously be back on Friday next week at 8:45 again. Any videos coming out over the next couple of days, mate?
Probably not. I need a rest. I don't know. We'll see.
Just some City games and stuff on your Wokkels analysis. Tell the people where they can find you, mate.
Wokkels football, Wokkels analysis. Same as always.
And yeah, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. We will definitely be back next week. Thanks again, everyone, and stay safe.